The light is on. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Oakland Mayor and Council. Today is Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022. Roll call.
Mayor Schwieger.
Here.
Councilman Kamala.
Here.
Councilman Pinizelli.
Here.
Councilman Saliani.
Here.
Councilman Slasinski.
Here.
Councilman Talamini.
Here.
Councilman Van Ack.
Here.
Before we begin, look at your telephone, your cell phone, make sure it's on mute. Also, I request that you please refrain from texting. Texting is discourteous, disruptive, and if you text anyone up on the dais, it could be construed as a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act. So we're going to stand, we're going to salute to the flag, and everybody remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And while you remain standing, think about all the people that their lives are being disrupted, and we pray for everybody and pray for peace.
Also like to say, pray for the Kuhns family. Lee Ming Kuhns passed away last week.
Yes.
An amazing resident. Keep her and her family in your prayers.
Yes, her wake was yesterday. Please be seated. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law, duly announced, advertised, and posted in the municipal building. This meeting will adjourn at 10 p.m. unless the majority of the council members that are present vote to extend the time. I give my mayor's report, then we usually open to the public. Tonight I'll give my mayor's report, and then we will have our celebration, because it's always exciting to celebrate and honor the young people in Oakland. So this is very exciting for us. So tonight, my mayor's report. March, this is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Each March, the National Association of Councils create a campaign that highlights the many ways in which people with and without disabilities come together to form a strong, diverse community. Yesterday, I was very happy to attend a brunch meeting sponsored by the Eastern Christians Children's Retreat. I was joined by Councilman Van Ack. It was a very inspiring meeting, and I know Councilman Van Ack is going to give a report and some surprising great news that came out of the meeting, so thank you. Councilman Van Ack is our liaison to Access for All, so it fits all right in. Good news about Memorial Day. We thought we were not going to have a parade, and I'm told that we are going to have a parade. Thank you, MAME. MAME is single-handedly getting bands and organizing a Memorial Day parade. We are definitely having a Memorial Day ceremony, which we always do in Veterans Park, so that will take place. But MAME is doing this single-handedly. She's going out there, she's soliciting for bands, and I think she, last I heard, Mr. Khan, I think
she's doing a good job.
Yeah, she's all right. She's up to 5 already at this late date. And next Tuesday, which is March 29th, is a special day to honor all those Vietnam veterans. National Vietnam War Veterans Day, designated to be Tuesday, March 29, 2022, commemorating possibly the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. U.S. Armed Forces personnel with active duty service between November 1st, 1955 and May 15th, 1975, regardless of the duty that they served, will be honored. It's at 10 o'clock. I'm told it's at the American Legion Hall, and then I read somewhere it might be at the Veterans Park, but Pat, is it still the American Legion?
I don't have any information. I thought it was the American Legion,
Yeah.
unless they changed it.
10 o'clock on Tuesday, and it will be on the website, and let's honor those vets who served the country in the Vietnam War. Tonight we have a presentation. I don't know who is presenting from the committee on Bush Plaza. Thank you to the members. Oh, Tom, the chair. Thank you, Tom Connolly. You're going to present. And lastly, I'm keeping this very short. I received this yesterday. It's a new program in Bergen County for senior citizens. Of course, the children, you may have some seniors living with you, so listen carefully. It's a free service to help Bergen County seniors manage their household bill paying. It's called Silver Bells, or Silver Bills, from Silver Bells. Silver Bills has developed a proprietary bill management software solution that helps clients manage their bills. Silver Bills receives, scrutinizes, stores, and ensures payment of household bills. Keeping current with bills can be challenging, and mistakes can lead to dire consequences, such as termination of benefits, like insurance and financial exploitation. Every client is paired with a dedicated account manager, and no computer use is necessary to benefit from our services. I sent this information over to our senior citizen director, but if you are aware of any senior citizen or anyone, you don't have to be a senior citizen, who could use this service, please tell them. The service will be offered for free to Bergen County seniors who wish to enroll. To find out more information, you can call the phone number 1-800-825-1924 or email info, that's INFO, @silverbills.com. This information is going to be on our website, and as I said earlier, Ariel, our senior citizen director, received this information, and she's posting it to all our seniors in Oakland. And with that, usually we open to the public now, but we're going to change this around, and we're going to celebrate our children, our young people in Oakland. So, before we do that, there is a proclamation, and it reads, the Oakland Pee Wee Braves Championship. Whereas the Oakland Pee Wee Braves won the 2021 Northern Bergen County Junior Football League Super Bowl Championship, and whereas the Oakland Pee Wee Braves finished with a final record of 9-1 during the 2021 season, and whereas the Oakland Pee Wee Braves' lone loss was to Ramsey on opening weekend in a defeat of 6-0, and whereas the Oakland Pee Wee Braves then won 9 straight games, including an exciting semifinal playoff win against Montville, and whereas the Oakland Pee Wee Braves won a rematch against the #1 seed undefeated Ramsey in the Super Bowl championship with a 13-6 win to secure the title. Now therefore be it resolved on behalf of the governing body of the Borough of Oakland, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, I hereby congratulate the Oakland Pee Wee Braves on their championship season and wish you all success in the future. And now for your certificates.
Okay, we know not everybody's here, but it seems like a lot of you are. But I'm going to read the names, so if you just come up.
And we give this to whom? Who would like to take copy?
Stay up here too. So once you receive your certificate, we'll just stay up in a line, and at the end, we're going to take a nice big group photo with everybody, okay?
Wow.
Put it up here. Put it up here. There we go.
That's a trophy.
Okay.
That's a trophy.
And apologize in advance if I don't perfect some of the names. Zachary Arditi. Not here.
And who, do you want
Anthony
to
Bruno. All right, Anthony. Congratulations, Anthony.
And Matthew, is he related?
And Matthew Bruno. Brothers? Caleb Castro. Stephen Catalano. Congratulations, Stephen. James Colery. All right, James. Congratulations, James.
Thank you.
Jackson D. Leon. Gregory Domsky. There you go, Domsky. Brandon Donahue. Timothy Dovalian. Vincent Gribben. All right, Vincent. Congratulations. James Hill. Higup Kalajian.
No.
Joseph Larson. Derek Metji. Derek, all right, congratulations.
We're on TV right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Wave to the camera right there. Wave to the camera. Matthew Metji. Thomas Nelson. Cristiano Ortiz. Congratulations. Logan Palmy. Aiden Pickenich.
No?
Cooper Rowan. Cole Rubenacker. Very good. Cooper Shunky. Lucas Stroud. Jason Sermanek Jr. Mason Tammer. Braden Tiratilli. Andrew Toscos. John Wall. One guy left, and I've got more than one certificate.
He's the last one there.
Anthony Zizzo. I'm going to read the other names, even though... Oh. I'm going to read the other names, even though they're not here, just to recognize everybody else. Coach Paul Donahue is here. Okay. Stephen Catalano. Rob Domsky. Congratulations. Mark Rubenacker. Rob Palmy. Anthony Pickenich. Jim Bruno. Okay, if we could all try to get everybody together, maybe move this out of the way.
Come, you gotta all come close.
Everybody come close, let's gather in the middle, we'll put the trophy right in front.
2 rows.
Let the coach handle that.
I just want to say something. I just want to say something. This could not have happened if it wasn't for the parents. The coaches, thank you for all the extra work and the time and the effort you put into this. But thank you to the parents, because if it wasn't for you, these children wouldn't be able to do what they do. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, if everybody could look at that handsome gentleman in the tie and the jacket right there, that's Mr. Corelli. We'll take a picture of him first, and then we can go from there. So, go ahead, Michael.
Hold up your certificates. There we go.
Not in front of your face.
It's upside down.
Not in front of your face, guys.
Don't sit down. All right.
Hey.
Look here. Thank you.
Okay, that's some parent pictures.
Smile.
Don't forget the coaches, they're the most important people. Thank you, coaches.
Thank you.
Thank you, players. I would just like to tell our young athletes what you did, what you accomplished. You made Oakland so proud. You made everyone so proud with what you did. This is just the beginning. You got a beautiful life ahead of you. What you accomplished, don't let this be the end of something. Let it be the beginning. You got new seasons coming up, more sports you're playing. Continue to be a champion in everything you do in life. You made us proud. You made your families proud. Thank you, parents, for your sacrifice, what you did to allow them to participate, for all the support, the hours, the driving, the cheering, the supporting that you gave. And for our young athletes, go out there, you get them. You're champions now and you're champions for life.
Yeah,
God
boys.
bless you. If you guys want to come around, all the council people would love to
What is the
congratulate you.
TV
can
show
start.
called? What is the TV show called?
What?
Oakland.
Super Bowl champs.
TV, just look it up on YouTube.
I know it's Channel
problem.
77
maybe it
Channel
should be
77.
and
but
Optimum, and what is it on file?
I'll send the coaches the information.
Okay, cool.
I'll
Thank
give
you.
you
That's exactly what
Thank you.
Oakland champ.
But if you guys want to start here at the end, you can make your way down.
Thank you.
Guys, go around.
Great, start in the front. Congratulations. All right.
Now you're welcome to stay.
Oh my God.
Good job, guys. Good job, guys. Good job. Good job. Way to go. Count them up. There you go. Thank you. Thanks for pulling this together. Why with a camera? Yeah, you guys got it. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know. I'll tell you.
I'm gonna put it in the tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
The microphone's in the ceiling. You're welcome to come to the podium and speak. Hi, and whoever speaks, that even though we know you and love you, you have to give your name and address.
Good evening, Nancy Kraus, 22 Hickory Drive. I'm also a member of the Oakland Shade Tree Commission. And I just wanted to tell you about a few new things. Today, I found out for the third year in a row, we have successfully been accredited with the New Jersey Urban and Community Forestry Program. This requires developing and implementing a Forest Service approved management plan for trees, training and education, and our annual reporting. Towns which are accredited get to have access to grants, which other towns would not. And less than 50% of shade tree commissions are actually accredited. So it really gives us an advantage. Now I would like to point out some of the economic benefits that our residents receive from our trees. Mature trees increase property value by 20%, according to U.S. Forest Service. A mature tree can have an appraised value of between $1,000 and $10,000. Money Magazine estimates that while a kitchen or bathroom remodeling can bring a recovery value up to 125%, landscaping, including trees, can bring up to a 200% return at the selling time of a home. The American Power Association estimates that effective landscaping can reduce a home cooling bill by as much as 50% a year. In fact, areas without cooling shade trees become heat islands, with temperatures reaching 12 degrees higher than the surrounding area. And trees can also cut heating costs by up to 30% a year by strategic planting. Commercial retail areas with trees are more attractive to shoppers, and apartment complexes with trees rent more quickly and tenants stay longer. And space in wooded settings is more valuable to sell or rent. Home ownership is truly a big investment, and adding trees adds to the overall value. I hope you now understand that money really does grow on trees. Help boost the property value, save energy, and beautify our town by supporting the updated ordinance at the standards that the Oakland Shade Tree Commission has recommended. Lastly, this year marks the 150th anniversary of the tree planters' holiday, Arbor Day. And please join us as we present the common trees of Oakland and the adversities that they face. This will be on April 28th at the Oakland Senior Center at 7:30 p.m.
And I was told you're giving out little saplings?
Yes, thank you. We are giving out some saplings too. So please come join us.
Thank you.
Good evening, Tom Connolly, 1 Winding Ridge. I'm here tonight because I received a phone call from Eric. Eric had asked me to serve on the Bush Plaza Park Committee, and I asked him to make sure I got the blessing of Kevin Heffernan, which I got. But I'm here tonight to share with you an update of the incredible progress that the Bush Plaza Park Committee has made to date. We've only been meeting now for the last 2 weeks. We have a great team. We have Mike, I'm going to mispronounce his name, but Mike Guadagnino. Guadagnino, thank you. Whatever, I still messed it up. But Ed Clark, Lee Heyman, and Kevin Heffernan. And then along with them, we have Richard Kuntz, our administrator. We have Michael, our administrator, assistant administrator, John Ukemic, along with our council liaison, Stephen Salzani, who I misspelled his name. I heard about that one too, but I got you, Steve. But we're here tonight to provide a verbal update of the incredible progress that is made to bring the thought, hope, and vision of Bush Plaza Park a reality, to make a beautiful, welcoming entrance into Oakland, to transform an abandoned, frankly dreadful space into something we can all be proud of. We have met only 2 times prior to my presence here tonight, and at that time we have accomplished a lot. Please note that each item is a work in process, with a final report with drawings and costs to be presented to this council on April 27th. At our first meeting, our team agreed that the purpose of the committee was to make the enhancement of Bush Plaza Park a reality as soon as possible, such as that it will act as a seed to begin to revitalize our downtown. Obtaining a Bergen County Parks grant is the best source for the funding that will be needed for Bush Plaza Park. The shape, as everyone knows, of the park is on a triangular lot with a flagpole. Our vision is to see that lot with a new flagpole using the existing finial, which weather vane that's on it now, because the pole that we have there now, there's a history that Kevin has given me, but that pole could be as old as 80 years old.
So we need a light on it.
That's coming. I second your motion.
Yes, they talked
along
about
with a 4-sided illuminated clock on the forward edge of the property, and then the rest of the property, all the asphalt would be removed as per plan that Ed has developed for us, to turn the site into a green area, a beautiful passive park surrounded by our beautiful oak trees and other plantings. At the second meeting held a mere 2 nights ago, Ed Clark presented his drawings and rough course to the group, which he's refining them at this time, and we'll be meeting again next Monday night. Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. The committee recognizes that this council, Richard, will be sending a letter to the Parks Commission requesting that the grant application will be forthcoming. The formal application for the grant is due on May 6th of this year. So we'll be back here again, I guess, April 27th to present the final plan to the council that you will move forward. And hopefully, God willing, we'll get a good chunk of change for the grant. We plan on doing it, what we're going to attempt to do is to do it in 3 phases, because people want to see results. And phase 1 is an electrical service into the lot to supply a light to the flagpole and to also to supply the electric needed for the clock, along with a couple of outlets, so that if people want to do something down there, there will be electric at the site. Irrigation, the new water service we brought into the site by our great Oakland DPW. Phase 2, get rid of all the asphalt, eliminate all the asphalt on the site, plant the new flagpole will be in the center of the lot. So you're coming down Yopo, you'll see that beautiful flag flying along with the beautiful green area. And along with other plantings that Ed will be developing for the site. And also, I believe Michael made the recommendation for a rain garden. So a rain garden will be put on the back of the lot. Phase 3 would include enhancing the parking space on the south side of the Enterprise building. Again, Ed's plan that you'll be seeing shortly. We will, again, create some green space, plant some more oak trees, and make the start of our downtown improvement a reality. Rough estimated cost is about $300,000. Again, the team envisions, I'm sure we're going to get it, the full cooperation from the Oakland DPW for whatever help they can do, help in trenching, putting in the water service, and other tasks to make it a reality. We also would like to use a 501c3 to help raise money for phase 1, because the monies for the grant will not be here until probably June of next year, Richard? June. So we want to see something in the ground this year. So our goal is that we fundraise. We have ask the mayor and council to get the electrical service run into the site, less than $5,000 out of operating account. We fundraise, God willing, $30,000 to $50,000 to get the foundation and the clock in, and it's the start. People will see progress and and next year, if we get 150,000, Rich, from the county of Bergen, the borough would have to match that and then make it a reality. Again, this is the work of the committee after 2 meetings, and it's a testament to the dedication and skill of each team member. The team knows that we need your active, dynamic help and approval to make this dream a reality. We implore you to move forward so that we get this project completed next year. Let's together turn a barren, uninviting entrance to our beloved town into something that we can all be very proud of, and by doing so, plant the seeds to begin to truly enhance our downtown. On behalf of all the committee members, we thank you all for your support.
Well, thank you. I attended last night, no, it was Monday night. Monday night. And Ed Clark, the amount of work you're putting into this and those designs are just magnificent, so thank you. And the town thanks you.
Tom, on the funding for the project, this is up to you, just a suggestion. I know some organizations, like the Veterans did it at Veterans Park, the ambulance, they sold bricks with the family name on it. Maybe put that around the bottom of the flagpole. Just a thought.
Quite honestly, Councilman, we talked about that, and we were thinking more of putting a plaque up, a plaque that would probably be more than likely by the clock on the edge of the property, which will recognize platinum level, you'll have platinum level, whatever levels we have,
right,
and to thank the people that support
the
the project.
I've even seen a tree and a leaf, you put the person's family name on it.
Yeah. The only thing, quite honestly, we have Ed. I love Ed because Simple is better.
That's what he
Simple
kept
is
doing. He
better,
kept saying
and-
less is better.
And green is better.
And he said
I-
less is better.
I applaud him. That's why we figured we'd take the plaque. We won't don't complicate, everyone wants to be recognized, but put the plaque and, show off Oakland and the oak trees and the green. So, thank you.
I mean,
Great
now for
committee,
donation.
great committee, thank you. Anybody
Thank you.
else? Even though we know you, I'm sorry, you have to give your name and address.
I have
Oh, okay.
everything written out, no problem.
Oh, good, thank you.
My name is Vivian King and I live at 113 Hiawatha Boulevard. I am here as a resident of Oakland who holds an appointed position on the Zoning Board of Adjustments, and I also hold an elected position on the Rampo Indian Hills Board of Education. Anything I say here is solely my own thought and opinions and does not reflect the position of any board upon which I serve. On November 9th, 2021, I attended the November meeting of the Oakland Zoning Board. When I arrived at the meeting in the senior center, no one had their masks on. At this time, masks were mandatory at all borough buildings, and I asked if everyone would be putting their masks on. The public also attends these meetings. After I asked this question, another member of the board went into a fit of rage and called me many disparaging names, including a derogatory name for women's genitalia that begins with a C. This member went into this tirade in front of other members of the board. I'll say again, members of the public attend these meetings. After the meeting, I immediately notified the borough administrator and the mayor. The borough conducted an investigation which concluded at the beginning of this month. On March 8th, the same day as the March zoning board meeting, I received a letter from the borough telling me that the investigation had found that Mr. Rose did in fact behave in a deplorable manner when he called me a litany of derogatory names, including the C word, and also that the allegations Mr. Rose made against me were unfounded and could not be corroborated. In other words, and this is my interpretation, Mr. Rose lied to the investigators. The letter also stated that, quote, appropriate disciplinary action would be taken, end quote. I'm sure you can imagine my surprise when I showed up for the March 8th zoning board meeting and saw that Mr. Rose was still a member of the board. So I'm here now to ask what type of disciplinary action was taken. Now I know you will all sit there and say nothing and hide behind your statement that you don't comment on personnel matters. Being a board member, I know how that goes. But let me be clear about one thing. There is truly only one thing that would be appropriate as far as discipline goes. But I'll play your game for a moment. Why don't you tell me what the list of possible disciplinary actions would look like? To me, the list would include suspension from his position, request for a public and a written apology, and/or removal from his position. I mean, you cannot dock him pay because we're not paid. They are not technically employees who have benefits and pensions, so short of you telling Mr. Rose, don't do it again, I'd be more than happy to hear what the list of items that you chose from includes. What about you, Mr. Talamini? I'd be very interested to know what you would do if this person called your wife a C word while she was volunteering in Oakland. What about you, Mr. Celiani? What if this person walked into the tax office, got upset with your wife one day, and went into a tirade and called Tracy the C word? Would he still be on the planning and zoning board? Or what about you, Mr. Kamala? Would it be okay if Mr. Rose said these despicable things to your wife and daughters? All of you men sitting here on the council are allowing this misogyny to go unchecked. This is reprehensible. You should all be ashamed of yourself and not doing enough to stop the bashing taking place against the women of Oakland. Thank you.
You want to say something?
The only thing I would say is that
In case anybody is not sure, Mr. Chakowski is our borough attorney.
the borough conducted an investigation. That investigation resulted in certain findings. Those findings were reviewed by the governing body, and in accordance with statute, those findings are confidential. Appropriate action was taken in accordance with the letters that were sent out.
Does anyone else wish to speak? still open to the public.
Okay, Deb Mudder,
The address.
101 Walnut Street. I think it's pretty sad that all your wives were mentioned in a situation like this. Nobody's name should be mentioned. Daughters, wives' names, uncalled for. And we know what it's like to sit on the board, to watch the Board of Ed, and they do the same thing, including the woman that was up here, Miss King.
Anybody else wish to speak?
Vivian King, 113 Hiawatha. I'm here as a resident of Oakland. I'm here as a volunteer of Oakland, and I have a right to not be called despicable, disparaging names while I sit on a board working for the taxpayers of Oakland free of charge. And this has nothing to do with my seat on the board. I'm sorry.
There's a more
This has nothing to do.
This is not a debate between
This has-
two people. If you want to address the council.
I'm addressing the
address
council.
address
I'm addressing the council.
And as you're looking at another person.
So I'll
this
look
is
at
not a
you, and I'll
debate
say this has
between
nothing
two
to do
people.
with the Board of
We've heard you
Education.
before.
Okay, that's fine. But now I'm addressing the disparaging remarks that were just levied against me as a citizen coming here to address the
This is
mayor
not
and
the
council.
forum for
It might
that.
not be, but I have a right to stand up for myself,
you've
Mr.
already had
Chakowski.
the
And I have a
time
right to
period.
stand up for myself after someone came and disparaged
You
me
could go
again.
speak to that woman at any
No,
time.
I'd rather not, thank you.
Is there anybody else? If not, is there a motion to close?
Somebody else.
Oh, Ed Clark.
Can't forget Mr. Clark.
How could I forget Mr. Clark?
Just want to,
Wait a minute, somebody had their phone on.
sure, I'll get my prop. Just want to thank everyone.
I love it.
Oh,
Charlie said there's no photos allowed.
oh. I didn't know what.
It's a redwood tree.
What is that?
It's a redwood tree. It's an 1.5 caliber redwood tree, and we'll get to that in a second. So
And it's taller than you.
it is. So for Ed Clark, 6 Morton Place. First wanted to thank everyone on the council for the time they've put into reviewing the changes to the new shade tree ordinance. It's been years in the works. We have something now that is much more fair to the residents of town, and will hopefully turn out to be something we're very proud of in the future, that we took a stand and did what we knew was right with the facts. There's 2 main parts to the ordinance when it comes to tree replacement. There's a replacement schedule for commercial projects, and there's a replacement schedule for residential projects, which by residential we mean it is the owner's principal residence. It's just some quick facts, right? Residential removals, 2002, 635 trees removed that we know about, either done by the borough or permits pulled. 635 in 2020, 640 in 2021, so pretty consistent numbers. Just to run those numbers out a little bit. So again, a 12-inch oak tree, very common tree in this town is a white oak. Just using that as an example. A 12-inch oak tree, that's a 48-year-old tree. Okay? So if we just think of that time, the average spread on that 12-inch tree, it branches out 16 feet in each direction. That's 803 square feet multiplied by, just say not all of those trees that were removed were dead. Let's say 3/4 of them were alive. Most of them are alive. It's more than 3/4. But if they were all alive, that's 12 acres of forest cover, 12 acres of canopy, and that's what this is about. This isn't about making things pretty. It's about the mechanical function of the canopy. So that's 12 acres removed. Say 3/4 of those trees were dead and had to come down. I mean, 1/4 of those trees were dead and had to come down. That's 9 acres of live canopy removed in 1 year. So 90 acres in 10 years. If there was a civil engineer handy, he might be able to testify about the effect that has on stormwater. 9 acres of forest cover being removed. So we're trying to mitigate that loss over time. And of those 640 trees that were removed, seven were replaced. And I think the other year there were 6 replaced. So not a great ratio. So when we get to residential, again, this is what I'm talking about. I believe we're all gonna be happy with the commercial end. With residential, we're talking about replacing trees when we get to a certain amount of loss. And we measure that not by the number of trees, but by the cumulative size of trees. So the first 36 inches of tree, there is no replacement needed. Again, that 12-inch tree, that's 48 years of tree. So we're talking about 150 years of growth. Nothing needs to be replaced. Okay? And how often will there be, with a construction project, will there be 36 inches worth of tree within the first 10, 12 feet, where most additions, porches, bump outs happen? Not very often. And I've reviewed the permits for years. It's rare. It's when we go out into the yard and building something, say like a detached garage or swimming pool, we may get into more than 3 trees. So the first 36 trees are no replacements. After that, it's 1.5 inch tree, which brings me back to my little friend here. 1.5 inch tree for every 12 inches of tree removed. For every 48 years of tree growth, 1 tree. And we're up here making sure we don't put Oakland residents out. This tree, we have one of the best wholesale nurseries in the state. It's a local business 1,000 yards from here. And those trees are available there. This one I picked up at a big box store within 10 miles of here. There's 3 of them. There's plenty of them in stock. A layman can do it. This is a $69 tree. Okay? So 48 years of tree growth, 803 square feet of stormwater absorption. First 36 inches don't count. After we get to the next 12 inches, just one of these for $69 is what we're talking about. And I believe that's not putting anyone out. I believe when that happens, a lot of those projects are tied to construction projects, and the incremental cost of the $69 in the scope of a $375 per square foot addition or a $200,000 swimming pool project, I believe we're not putting anybody out. So I again want to thank the council for their time, and when it comes time to vote, just think if this guy's putting anybody out. So I'll leave him over here when you're voting. Use it as a reference. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, put it right by you, Grant. Take it home.
Hi.
Thank you, everyone. Philomena LaForgia, 54 Saratoga Drive, Oakland, New Jersey. I'm not sure if this is, if I can have this platform, but I am the co-host with a White Clough resident of Board Buzz, which is a new online podcast that highlights the Ramapo Indian Hills Regional High School Board of Education meetings. I would like to thank the Oakland TV for adding the podcast to your distribution. And I also would like to take this opportunity to just welcome everybody to the board meetings that happen at least twice a month on Mondays, alternating to both sides, both schools. And this Monday, there will be a preliminary budget hearing. So if you're interested about your taxes and where they're going, I welcome everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we're very lucky we have an excellent TV studio here.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we are very
Wonderful.
lucky.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have approval of the minutes from the March 9th, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? If not, roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Pinutelli.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Salamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van App.
Yes.
So we already recognized the championship football team, and that was very exciting. And as I stated earlier, on March 29th, there's going to be, that's next Tuesday, 10 o'clock, and I'm told it's going to be at the American Legion Hall to honor the Vietnam War veterans, and I think that's very important. This is the proclamation that will be presented. It is whereas on this day we honor and respect the courageous men and women who served honorably in the Vietnam War. And whereas the Vietnam War was one of the longest military conflicts in American history, beginning November 1st, 1955 in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and ending with the fall of Saigon on April 30th, 1975. And whereas 2.7 million American troops served in the Vietnam War, of which over 58,000 servicemen and women made the ultimate sacrifice, with more than 153,000 severely wounded and 1,600 still unaccounted for. And whereas these servicemen and women endured unspeakable hardship and sadly returned home to treatment of dishonor and neglect for their heroism, and whereas we must remain vigilant to assist and never forget those veterans who served so honorably in the Vietnam War, and whereas the selflessness and sacrifice these servicemen and women made should be an inspiring reminder of the patriotism, spirit, and courage to all who serve in the nation's armed forces, and whereas we should be united in bestowing the respect and honor these service members deserve. Now therefore, I, Linda H. Schwager, Mayor, Borough, Oakland, Bergen County, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim the 29th day of March, 2022, as Vietnam War Veterans Day in remembrance and honor our Vietnam veterans, as well as their families, for their courage, sacrifice, and resolve. And I thank all those who served in the Vietnam War. I was directly involved, not me personally, but family members, close friends. It was I'm sure some of us up here remember this. I'm looking at Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes, I was in Vietnam.
So, and I thank all of anybody who serves the country in any war and conflict, and thank you for your service. And with that, we have some appointments. Flood Commission. William Wolford has sent in his, these are reappointments, has sent in his citizen leadership form. Stephen Foley sent in his. This is the mayor and council appointment. So I'm asking for a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We still have an opening. So if anybody is interested at all in serving on the Flood Commission, we do have an opening, and please let us know. Grant Van Eck, our councilman, is now the liaison to Flood Commission. You can always contact Councilman Van Eck or myself or Lisa, our borough clerk. We'd love to see you serve on the Flood Commission. And we have the All Access, which I'm so excited that it's moving along. And so we have received Philomena LaForgia, thank you. And Audrey Suiters, thank you. And Kathleen McCarthy, thank you for willing to serve on Access for All. And Councilman Van Eck will be giving a report because there's a surprise with this committee also. There was an error at the last meeting because it was on the form. I read Tony Smith. It was an error, so he will not be on the committee. But and I'm sorry that there was a mix-up. So it's Philomena, Audrey, and Kathleen. Thank you for being on that committee.
Thank you.
And Shade Tree is a mayoral appointment, and I have one citizen leadership form from Dean LaForgia, and I appoint on the alternate. That's the opening. Now Kim Baumer, he didn't send in anything. Does he still want to stay on?
Portion of it now that we're back in person.
All right, so Councilman Saliani, you're Shade Tree?
Yes.
Would you find out?
I will.
Because that's the only
Thank you.
opening. So thank you, everybody who has asked to be on a committee or a commission. All right, budget. Are we doing the budget right now? Yes.
What are we doing? So,
Is he in charge? Mr.
no,
Young?
I think.
He's not, he's not taking over?
No, we gave the presentation last time. If Grant wants to say a few words, otherwise we can proceed to the action items, which are four: introduction of the cap bank
Right.
ordinance and the resolutions.
So
Yeah, so
you're
I had a few issues with the introduction, we talked about that, so I request that those adjustments be made to the funding of the green team and Also to not increase the secretary for the different commissions to 1,500, but to keep it where it was at 1,200. So those are the two things that,
So,
those are the only two mistakes. It was clean besides that.
so how are we handling this? This is
So-
the
So
introduction.
David had
for the cap bank.
a recommendation for me as to what would be the smoothest process to make those adjustments.
Right, so you can adjust, it's very easy to adjust what you introduce. We'll make the technical changes in writing before it goes down to the state. Perhaps, David, I don't know if you have the updated figures, if they're going to do that to restate those or not. But you can do that before you introduce the budget tonight, if you want to make any changes like that.
I would like to make the changes to remove the funding for the Oakland Green Team and to reduce what was introduced was 1,500 for the boards and commission secretaries, to keep it where it was, which was 1,200 for them.
Now, Councilman Slazinski is on that committee. I mean, are you in agreement of
Yeah,
removing 5,000 for the green team?
I'm fine with both of Councilman's recommendations.
Green
And,
Team has the points.
well, I'd like to hear from everybody. I mean, this is our budget. So what about the other councilmen? What do you think about the green team? Though it's 5,000, talk about $5,000 for the green team.
They've never received funding in the past.
I'd like to hear from the councilman.
What was the ask for the 5,000, Mr. Coons?
$1,500 for a secretary or $1,200 at your discretion. $3,500 for an operating budget that would go for things like rain barrel support for the community garden, being able to participate in some materials to participate in like the carnival and things like that.
The community garden raises money through selling the plots already.
Yeah, what did it take in last year, David? About 1,000? I think that's how we were structured.
1050, yeah.
Okay. Right. So that money is coming in, and the intent originally was that money then be, be able to be accessed for maintenance of the garden.
I thought the whole thing with the green team is the points and the point system, and everything's with the points with the green team. So they have the points, we use the points, that's how they got the grant and the funding for the poorly located garden. And it's great that we have the garden, I just wasn't crazy, still not crazy about the location. But it's good that we have it, I think it's a good thing for the town. It is where it is now, nothing we can change about it, but we're selling those plots and they're successful at it, and it's gonna continue forward. I don't see any reason between the points and the funding they can apply for and fundraising like a lot of other boards and commissions do. There's absolutely no reason to throw another $5,000 taxpayer money at this green team.
Well, I think all the councilmen should be heard on this. We're talking about, all right, it's separated, so it's 5,000 in addition to the secretary, or 5,000 which includes?
That's with
Includes.
it, that includes it.
So it's really two issues. We're talking about 3,500 and
And
1,500.
I would like both removed. As the finance chairman, I recommend both be removed.
All right, that is the recommendation of the finance chairman, and apparently Kevin Slazinski, who is on the committee, is in agreement to remove money from the green team. So I'd like to hear.
Well,
from
there's no
the council.
removing money, they don't currently get any budget. We'd like to continue where it is.
Moving
where
it
they
from
don't
the
receive any
budget.
budget.
I just want to ask a question, being liaison to the Green Team.
Sure.
Obviously, they're getting ready to do a lot of, they're doing the art sample and a lot of the art projects and stuff like that, Mr. Coons. How are they currently funding that, or do they need a source of revenue so they can do the art sample and the programmatic programs down at Veterans Park? Because it was very successful last year.
It was, some of that money, there's like a registration fee that we just took out of our general services budget and the like. It wasn't a large amount of money, but that would be moved over to their budget if they were given one. So that's one example.
So how much was that altogether?
Probably with the stage and the registration fee, you're probably looking at $350, $400.
Okay.
Something like that. Again, the revenue from the community garden would be an offset. That was about $1,000. And then they were looking for money for to help fund additional styrofoam drives and community education programs as well.
So we're talking about $3,500.
On the road, OE side, yes.
Well, I just want to say that as the liaison to the Green Team, they really did a wonderful program with the art sample. And I think it really brought a lot of value to the town. It brought a lot of involvement from the town. So certainly I would be in favor of cutting back on the budget a little bit, but I certainly think they should have a few bucks to be able to pull off these programmatic events for the community.
I completely disagree.
All right, well, one at a time. All right, we'll go with Councilman Pignatelli.
Thank you.
Well, you're next in line.
I can appreciate our finance chair recommendations, trying to be conservative with our spending, but I also can appreciate with Councilman Kamala. They do need some money because there is value in what they do. So I think we should have some money in their budget for that. Is there any money in their budget, Mr. Coons? Do they have a budget?
They don't, and they've been doing great things without it. So why continue to do the great things they're doing? We don't need to use all of our residents' taxpayer dollars for this green team.
Well, wait a minute, where did the money come from, Mr. Kunz? If it wasn't in a budget specifically stated as green team, the money had to come from
They cost us
somewhere, so it comes from somewhere.
Right, so there have been,
Excuse me,
right, so there have been some nominal expenditures through other budgets when needed, again, for like a registration fee and the like. The community garden was covered by a grant, the development of that primarily. And again, that's bringing in about $1,000 a year in plot fees that is meant for the maintenance of the community garden. So if nothing else, I would recommend that you at least keep that in there because that's money directly coming in with the offset. There's no effect on the, on property taxes with that money.
so, but the other money that they needed, for example, the art sample, where did that money come from?
Again, that was coming from other budgets, general services.
So it's
that
coming
we
from
needed to pay.
somewhere.
Yeah.
So now, what this budget is saying, instead of picking from column A, column B, column C, you're saying, let's put it all in one group and call it the green team and take the money from there. So this way we can keep track of what's coming in and going out.
Right, and they, they submitted a budget request and they were asking for direct funding for those types of items.
Okay. So
And giving them a budget, we can be assured that there would be tracking of their expenses. That's the reason for having budgets, one of the reasons for having a budget, so that we can track where the money's going, how it's being used, where it's needed. So if Mr. Coons says $1,000 in their budget, I would agree with that because they have to have some money to do additional programs. The styrofoam collection, maybe they had one grant, but they would like to have two, and they can only get enough money for one. So if they have a budget, maybe they could have two styrofoam or three styrofoam collections.
But Council President, they have a point system through the state, the Sustainable New Jersey program, that they can get funding for doing the various things to maintain a very high quality status. And our green team does have a high status based on the requirements in the Sustainable New Jersey program. They are doing a lot of programs, and that's how they receive money. I don't think we should be taking additional taxpayer dollars from Oakland to give to this green team.
but what Mr. Kunz is saying, we are giving them money, but we're not tracking
They're
where it's
raising
coming
raising
from.
money because they sell the plots and they
But
charge
they're
fees.
taking money from someplace else to start it, like startup, and then replacing it. So what he's saying is, rather than taking from column A, column B, column C, what both Councilman, if I interpret correctly, Councilman Kamala and Councilman Pignatelli are saying, let's put it all in one so we know we could track the money. Did I
disagree.
interpret that correctly?
Yes.
All right, let me hear from down here, Councilman Talman.
So I have a question about the secretary. Do other groups have secretaries? Are we funding them? What's the?
Most boards
Yes.
and commissions have a secretary to provide assistance, yes.
But the green team is a group that is only approved annually by resolution as opposed to our other commissions that are established by state statute or our official ordinances of the Borough of Oakland.
Thank you for that clarification, Councilman. That was going to be my question.
All right, so Councilman?
And then, so, I mean, how did we come up with so it was $1,500 for the secretary, give or take?
Generally, secretaries are paid $100 a meeting, about $1,200 a year. They haven't received an increase in probably 20 years or more, so I just wanted to float the idea of a little increase for them to recognize, inflation for the last 20 years or so. But that's at your discretion. I think the bigger issue for Councilman Van Eck is, them having secretarial support, period, if I am characterizing.
I say absolutely not.
All right, anyone?
I mean, the secretary seems a little overkill to me. I just think it's, it's a volunteer group. It's they're there because they want to be there. There's things that you have to do as volunteers. I don't know that the secretary is necessary. I could see them wanting some sort of budget. I could see it as a nice compromise. Maybe no secretary, but we give them some money. That's where I am right now.
Okay.
Maybe.
And Councilman Slizinski, you want to add anything?
No, just somewhere in the middle between Grant's points and adding money to what Councilman Pignatelli.
Oh, so you're changing from what you originally said?
Exactly, yeah, not full agreement with Grant.
Councilman?
I'd like to have a certain amount of money put aside.
Everyone knows we don't have to say it directly. A one-year appointing committee, I don't think we need a secretary. If they get appointed to a full committee, I think we bring a secretary in at that time. So I think that should be dismissed. Rich, how much did we spend last year? You said we used from other budgets. To me, you take what we spent last year from the other budget, we put it into one, then the fundraising they come in, they can appropriate those funds through that budget. It's probably less than the $3,500, and I think we monitor it for a year and we see how it goes forward. I think that's how I would handle it.
I agree.
So instead of doing it this year, we see what they take in this year, and then next year, if they are,
I would appropriate, so right now, say they need $350, they were going to, for lack of a better term, I'll say because people here, right, the extra money, they're taking that. We're gonna track what they do, they get their own budget, we're gonna track against it and see what happens, and then next year we do it correctly. Not knowing what they were spending, well, it's gonna go to a budget, so Rich knows, if I'm correct, Rich and David, you know what we spent last year for this team? We're gonna put that in its own line item budget, and then we're gonna track against that and see how it goes, correct?
Instead of pulling it from different sections.
Yes, and then when they raise their money that comes in, we can appropriate the funds they bring in as well, correct?
Right, and we know that they brought in about $1,000 last year in plot fees for the garden.
So why wouldn't we use 1,000 then? Why?
Well, that was part of the budget proposal.
When we took the money, I don't want to pick on rec, but if we took the money from rec last year, and would we just just appropriate it differently this year? So they took $100, $500 from rec last year. So take the $500 out of rec to begin with and put it into their budget. So we're not really adding anything. We're
allocating what they spend so we can track it. And then to Grant's point, next year we address it again. So, but I do agree with Mr. Van Eck, Councilman Van Eck, on the secretary. I don't think there's need for secretary at this point.
All right, so let us, so on the secretary issue, that's $1,500 right off, right, cut right out. So let's go around. Councilman, I assume you're saying no? I mean, yes.
we should absolutely not, once you put something in a budget, it's very hard to take it out.
All right, so you're saying yes.
It becomes very permanent, and it establishes an organization in town that has been a problem for this town. It's many good things like the Arts Amble and other things that have been gone on. This organization has been a problem, and I have voted every year that I've been a councilman against this organization being reestablished. I feel it is the Department of Redundancy department. in this town to even have a green team. We could do all these great things within the other organizations, commissions, public events, environmental commission that we already have. I see there to be absolutely no purpose for a green team. By putting them into this budget, it establishes even more. This is an organization that's only approved every year by a resolution. Like as I said before, these other commissions and committees we have in town are by ordinance or by state statute. This is a very different organization. We should not, it is a mistake. I am asking my colleagues in the governing body, it is a mistake to give the green team any budget line in
All right.
the borough budget.
So let's do this separately.
Please do not approve it.
All right,
Thank you.
separately. So we have the green team, that's already been established. So now the question is, let's start with, we're gonna do this in 2 phases, the secretary, 1,500.
Absolutely not.
Councilman.
No.
No. No.
No. No.
So we're down to 3,500. So that
Correct.
makes life easier. So now, can someone make a motion if you don't want any money for the green team? Councilman Van
Ronald
Eck.
Reagan said the closest thing to eternal life is a government program. We should not
What?
establish
What does
anything
that got to
in
do
this
with
budget.
3,500? Wait a minute. Is there a number that anybody wants to
Do not put a line
suggest?
item in our budget for the green team. Please, my colleagues on the council, please.
Mr. Coons, could you give us the actual number that was spent last year?
Off the top of my head right now, no. Again, because it wasn't all, there was no centralized budget for it. So, we stood up the community garden. It was its first year of operation. We did the art sample. There's some money related to that. But I couldn't give you a hard figure right now.
Does this have to be done tonight?
Otherwise, you're talking.
David shaking his head yes.
Yes, because
That's a
otherwise you're
CFO.
talking about amending the budget on the back end, and that'll delay.
So-
It would delay adoption by 2 weeks over $3,500
So
on a $22 million.
can someone make a suggestion of a number? We started at
Zero.
3,500 to 0. I always believe in compromise. If you don't want to go 3,500 and you don't want to go 0, let's start in the middle of, what is it, 1,750?
Zero.
Is that 1,750?
I have,
Council, well, one second. Oh, Councilman, sorry, sure,
Yeah.
you go first.
I just want to say that I think it's certainly, there's a lot of value to the community with the art sample and the programs that they're doing. We're getting ready to move on a band shell that's going to go into Great Oak Park, and clearly we need to have acts, we need to bring the community, it brings value to the community to have these programs. That being said, I would like to put a number on the table, only because we have to do something, I'd like to put a number on the table of $1,500 of budget for this year.
Second.
All right, so, do we vote on this
How
as
much was
part
the
of the
number?
cap, or?
1,500.
You're creating a permanent line item in our budget for this organization.
Okay, so let's go around. We'll start with Councilman Van Eck.
to suggest general.
So it's a 1,500 was suggested and it was seconded. So we'll start with you, Councilman Van Eck.
Are we voting, or is this just
Just so we know, so you can
Just
put.
Are we,
information.
this is just a straw poll?
Yes.
Do not, no.
Is that- I assume that's
Adding
a
a
no?
line item for this organization is a terrible idea.
All right, but it's
I can't
all-
even
it's-
believe this is on the table right now.
Is that a
I'm
yes or a
shocked.
no?
Republicans doing this.
Excuse me, this is not a political issue. Yes or no?
No.
Okay, Councilman,
Yes, on the grounds that we can always, if things aren't going well, we can dissolve them next year.
Yes.
Councilman. $1,500 for the green team.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes.
So that was a straw poll, that was not an actual vote. So now, how does that work with the budget?
So the budget figures are going to be revised right now, okay? And the budget that you will introduce in a few votes down the line here this evening will reflect that
That'll be
lower-
Resolution 22-107.
Yes, and that'll reflect the lower amount.
Okay,
Just keep bloating government, growing government.
all right. Let's move forward.
And then the other issue is the secretary increase to 1,500.
I thought it was all voted
No,
down.
No,
that
so we
was
did
vote-
it separately, Mayor.
We
That's over.
voted down having the
Overall
green
raise,
team
yes.
thing. The other issue is to keep, again, $100 a meeting, to keep it where it was at $100 a meeting for the secretaries for all the boards and commissions, instead of increasing it to 1,500, keeping it at 1,200, which would be 100 per meeting.
Oh, was that
Yeah,
part of
there was
everything?
two things. So the
Yeah.
green team
The
budget
green
has
team
two
will not
budgets.
have, the green team will be 1,500, no secretary. So now,
Unfortunately.
on the budget, it talks about secretaries for all of them moving from 1,200 to 1,500. So let's do the straw poll on that, so our CFO knows what to do. Councilman Van Eck.
Keep it at 1,200. So yes.
Councilman?
1,200.
12? 1,200 works for me.
12? 1,200.
All right, so you have your pencil out there and your calculator?
I do. The net change in the budget that you'll be voting on to introduce the tax levy for municipal purposes will drop from 15,725, 530.73 to 15,720, 530.73, and the total general revenues to 22,425, 470.
All right, can you repeat that so I can write that down?
22,425, 470.
One more time.
Can you repeat that slowly?
Yes.
Go
The
ahead.
change to the municipal purpose tax, it will drop to 15,720, 530 and 73 cents. The total general revenues will drop to 22,422, 470. The total appropriations will also be 22,422, 470.
Okay. All right, so now we have Resolution 22-105, which is self-examination of the budget.
You have to introduce the cap bank first.
Oh, we still have to do that.
Right, it's in the order that.
All right, so this is Introduction Ordinance 22 Code 879 Cap Bank. There a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman Pinutelli?
Yes.
Councilman Saliani?
Yes.
Councilman Placinski?
Yes.
Councilman Talamini?
Yes.
Councilman Van Hout?
Yes.
Final hearing.
April 13th.
Now we have the resolutions that go with this. Resolution 22-105, the self-examination of the budget.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman Pinutelli?
Yes.
Councilman Saliani?
Yes.
Councilman Placinski?
Yes.
Councilman Talamini?
Yes.
Councilman Van Hout?
Yes.
Resolution 22-106 is the resolution authorizing the reading of the budget by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman Pinutelli?
Yes.
Councilman Saliani?
Yes.
Councilman Placinski?
Yes.
Councilman Talamini?
Yes.
Councilman Van Hout?
Yes.
And Resolution 22-107 is the introduction of the budget for the Borough of Oakland, County of Bergen for the fiscal year 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held right here in council chambers on April 27, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. Roll call.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman Pinutelli?
Yes.
Councilman Saliani?
Yes.
Councilman Placinski?
Yes.
Councilman Talamini?
Just a quick thank you to everyone that worked on the budget, all the department heads, all the council members, just everyone that was involved. It's a long process, and you see, we wrestle with it up to the last minute, and just thank you. But yes.
Did you vote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Councilman Van Hout?
Yes.
Okay, so now we have resolutions 22-108 through 22-116. We've discussed all these items that will be done as a consent agenda, and you can pull any out. Resolution 22-108, authorized Bergen County Development Block Grant Cdbg agreement for Acorn, Birch, and Florence Avenue water main replacement and road improvement project. And it'll be in the amount of $113,790. And the borough wishes to enter into this grant agreement, and tonight it allows us to do so. 22-109 is the temporary emergency amendment for the budget. The local budget law provides that in addition to temporary appropriations necessary for the period prior to the adoption of the budget, by resolution adopted by 2/3 vote of the full membership. The current fund, state and federal grants, Clean Communities Mini, $300, not $3,000. 22-110, extended temporary budget. Local budget law provides that if any local fiscal year for which budget dates have been extended pursuant to Section 1 of this Act, We are permitted to have temporary budget appropriations to provide for the period between the date upon which the budget was scheduled for adoption. And the current fund is $17,826,705, and 26.25% of the total appropriations of the 2021 budget, exclusive of any appropriations made for interest and debt redemption charges, capital improvements, and public assistance. 22-111, authorized contract administrative agent for affordable housing program, and Oakland needs to retain the firm to administer its affordable housing program for 2022. Community Grants Planning and Housing, located in Cranberry, New Jersey, has submitted a proposal to act as affordable housing administrative agency at a cost not to exceed $5,000. Our CFO has certified funds are available. 22-112, amend contract cannabis council. Oakland has entered into an agreement for professional services relating to cannabis licensing and law for 2022 with Ronald P. Mondello, Esquire. CFO has certified funds are available. Services rendered by the cannabis attorney, which are not to be paid from an escrow account, shall not exceed $5,000. The hourly rate to be charged for services shall not exceed $225 per hour. 22-113, authorized refund of taxes due to overpayment. This is block 5404, lot 17, 9 Hopi Court, a refund of $3,545.54 to be paid to Appellate Land Service, Ltd., Jericho Turnpike, Syosset, New York, for double payment taxes. 22-114, amend the 2021 LoSAP list, and our emergency service organizations participating in the Length of Service Awards program called LoSAP shall annually certify to the sponsoring agency a list of all volunteer members who have qualified for credit for the previous year. And the borough has added David O'Connor to be the certified and approved list of volunteer members of the Oakland Fire Department and Oakland First Aid Squad for have qualified for credit under LoSAP for 2021. 22-115, authorized grant agreement, NJDEP Volunteer Fire Assistance Grants. And this is a public, obtain a grant from the state of New Jersey in the amount of approximately $5,000 to fund the following project: New Jersey Forest Fire Service Volunteer Fire Assistance Grant. That's the VFA grant. And 22-116, authorize refunds of fire prevention registration fee to Rotella Repair LLC, 50 Edison Avenue, Oakland, New Jersey, $50. Is there any you wish to pull out? If not, motion?
Yes, 22-114, Mayor, please.
114, the LoSAP list.
Yes.
Any others? Is there a motion to approve,
So moved?
other than 114?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Pinikali.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Slisinski.
Yes.
Councilman Salamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van Ness.
Yes.
Okay. 22-114, Councilman.
Yes, I just want to make sure, this is the LoSAP list for fire department only. Because I'm on the first aid squad, I need to know whether I should abstain from voting.
Yeah, this was just after they went back to review. This particular individual said, I do have the points, they validated it, I validated their numbers, and they sent it up, so it's...
Okay, so it's just for fire. All right,
Just
so
No,
I
it
can-
one
says
fire
fire
person.
and first aid.
And this particular addition is
Person.
just for
Just for this
one fire
person.
person. You already approved everybody else.
Just for first aid. I mean,
Just for David
fire.
O'Connor.
Just for fire.
It's one individual on the fire department.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Pinikali.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Slisinski.
Yes.
Councilman Salamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van Ness.
Yes.
So we have some ordinances for introduction. The first one is 22 Code 880. It is to amend the recreation fees. And there is a list of all the fees and the sports. And we have quite a list of sports that we offer in Oakland, which is great. It's great. So is there a motion to introduce?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Pinisali.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Slizinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van App.
Yes.
Final hearing.
April 13th.
So the
Thank you,
final
Rec,
hearing
for the
will
work
be
they did.
April 13th. And if you wish to speak then, that's when we have the open to the public. The next one for introduction is 22-8 Code 881, Water Service for Block 4202, Lots 1, 2, and 3, known as the finale track. A motion to introduce.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Pinisali.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Slizinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van App.
Yes.
Then we have another introduction of
April 13th is the hearing.
April 13th, same day.
Mhm.
And then we have Ordinance 22, Capital 882. It's the Capital Purchase Ordinance. And again, it's a list of all the capital purchases. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Pinisali.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Slizinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Van App.
Yes.
And the final hearing is
April 13th.
all three are April 13th, 2022. And now we have final adoptions. For the final adoptions, first we have a motion to open to the public. Anyone can speak, and then we will close the public portion and then move forward. The first one for final adoption is 22 Code 877. It is to amend Section 59-9, and that's appeals. And what this is there was an appeal from a zoning board decision. The appeal was made by a resident in town, and it was for a use variance. And what happened was, because our ordinance 59-9 at this time has the right of a resident to appeal to the Borough Council. The Borough Council heard the appeal and afterwards has decided that maybe it should not be this way. It should go right to court the way. If an applicant goes to the zoning board and is not happy with the outcome of the zoning board, they can appeal, but they appeal right to Superior Court. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open to the public.
So moved?
Mayor?
Yes.
Actually, Borough Attorney, I make a motion to table this.
Great. I thought I asked him when I could table.
Not yet.
I asked him already about this.
We need to have the hearing.
Okay.
And then you could
Yeah,
formally.
we're just opening it up.
And then to discuss, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because because it has to do with land use, it had to go to the planning board.
Right.
And the planning board has had a very extensive discussion about this. And unfortunately, the liaison, you weren't there that night, and so I had asked our attorney if I could have this tabled until we could discuss it. He said, no, we have to open it to the public and then
That's all.
move from there.
Just we need a
So,
second to open
I'm
to the
asking a
public.
motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What this is, we're opening this discussion to the public. And let me just give you an idea of what this is so you understand this clearly, that Section 59-9 in our ordinance allows for a resident who wants to appeal a use variance that the zoning board approved of. And so there's a whole procedure followed, and the resident followed the procedure, filed the appeal, and it came before the Borough Council. This takes away that option. So we're open to the public. If anybody understands what I just said.
Tom Connolly, 1 Union Ridge. I sat on the planning board, and we did discuss this at length, quite honestly. And quite honestly, the members of the board, I think
It was unanimous.
unanimously just thought that you're the elected officials, you're the protectors of our town. Honestly, that I believe is your job, to protect the residents of Oakland. And if I'm not correct me if I'm wrong, but couldn't they, couldn't they have brought this to Superior Court after the council made their decision, Brian?
Yes.
Yes, so it still gives you, as our protectors, to make your vote known and to protect, do the right thing for Oakland. And the client, he could still go, or whoever it is, can go to Superior Court. So I still think protect us.
Thank you. Sorry, you have to give your name and address
I
again.
will, no problem. Vivian King, 113 Hiawatha. Can you just explain again, what exactly is the change in this ordinance?
Okay. Right now, you want to
do it?
explain it?
Right now, Ms. King, there is the option, I shouldn't say the option, the ordinance provides that if the zoning board grants a use variance, an interested party can appeal that determination to the governing body
To the
for
council.
review.
Right, this was done recently.
It was
Right.
done recently. So our ordinance has that provision. There is a portion of the statute that, under the land use law, that says it's optional.
Right, so you want to change it to?
What would happen is that the appeal of a use variance would be treated as any other land use determination, which would then be appealed directly to
So
Superior
you're
Court.
taking out the ability
You
to
would-
come, so
You would
you're
remove the
removing
council review.
all of the councilmen from the hot seat, and you're forcing the person who was denied the variance to go right to Superior
No.
Court.
It's not the denial.
no.
It's only a grant of a use variance, so an interested party. And the only
Okay.
reason that that's permitted under the law is that the granting of a use variance is contrary to the zoning ordinance in effect at the time. So Oakland's ordinances permit a grant of a use variance. Certainly the applicant won't because they already won before the board. But if there's an interested party, an objector to that application, they could bring
So
that
if
to
the
the
citizen objects to the overruling of what the zoning board did, so in other words, the zoning board does not grant the use variance. They come to the council.
No,
No, the opposite
the other
way.
way. Only if it's granted.
What happened is, somebody came to the zoning board
Right.
and asked for a use variance.
Correct.
A use variance
And they-
means they came to build something that's
Right.
not allowed in that particular piece of property.
And it was,
All right,
And it was
so
approved.
the zoning board approved
Right.
it. The resident,
The
who was an
resident appealed
interested party,
to-
appealed,
right.
followed the procedure of our
Okay, so I'm
ordinance and
using,
said,
I flipped it around.
right,
I
and
understand.
said, I'm appealing.
Mhm.
Followed the procedure was followed.
Right.
And that resident had to pay for all the transcripts and file the brief and did everything.
Right.
Came to the board and came to the council.
Right,
The council, then we had our hearing, it was like an appeal, Charles Denova,
right. And you overturned it.
overturned the zoning
Right.
board. And yes,
So this is taking you out of that if it's a resident
correct,
appealing the approval of the
correct,
variance.
exactly,
So it takes all of you out of it and makes the resident go right to court.
correct.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? I mean, like the previous speaker just said, you're our elected officials. We put you in these seats to ensure that all of the boards are being run properly. And if something is wrong and a resident has a problem, they bring it to you. You're now taking that right away from them.
And by the way, just so everybody understands, I think the interested party, according to the ordinance, does have the option to appeal to the governing body or can file a complaint to
Anyway.
Superior Court. They have
They
two
could.
options.
They could.
Also, under the section of our current ordinance, the governing body can choose not to hear the appeal.
Right, so if they come to you and you look at it, it's one thing, but if you're taking away their ability to appeal to their local government, I don't think that's right. Thank you.
Anybody else? Does everybody understand what's happening?
We can comment after you close, right?
We could, yes,
Okay, because I do want to comment.
yes. Anybody else wish to speak, if you understood? Okay. Motion to close to the
So
public.
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're open for discussion, except if someone tables it.
Motion to table.
Well, second. I do want to,
If it's
I do want to say
tabled,
something.
It's table. The table
Well,
takes
well,
priority.
If there's a second, a motion
I
to
second.
table takes precedence.
So is that a roll call?
There would be a roll call
Roll call on the
motion to
tabling.
table. But before the roll call, are we doing a motion to table indefinitely? Are we motioning to table?
Motion to table indefinitely.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
No.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Vanna.
Yes.
So this will now, and you'll go to the next planning board meeting and you'll hear everybody at the planning board. And everybody read the letter. There was a letter from, is that public?
Yeah.
There is a letter from the attorney for the planning board who sent it to us, and it's open. You can get a copy of this letter, and describes exactly what the planning board, why the planning board is opposed to this.
Just one additional comment, Mayor.
Yes.
If you want to reconsider this, then you would have to reintroduce it.
A reintroduction. Okay, thank you. And then we'll be able, then you could talk later on, during, because we want to hear what you have to say.
Thank you.
Code 22 Code 878 is to authorize the acquisition of property for easement. This is, we've gone into this a lot. This is so, this is the property on 202 that was giving us, well, let's just say, we want sidewalks on 202 from the north end down, and it's on the northeast side? Is that the east side?
West.
East side. West side. You're right, thank you. West side. And so we have to buy the property. So that's the acquisition of this property. We did a lot of negotiations with the homeowner. And that's what this is. 22 Code 878 is to authorize the acquisition of property for easement. It is 609 Rampo Valley Road. And it is block 1301, lots 8. And it's necessary for public access. And the amount is $13,700. And is there a motion to open to the public?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone wish to speak? It is the west side. It's on the north end of town, but on the west side of 202. Motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion for final adoption of 22 Code 878 to authorize the acquisition of property, block 1301, lots 8, for $13,700?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Slasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Vanna.
Yes.
Work session. Are you speaking on OCC?
Sure.
Okay.
Now, ready?
We're on work session.
Okay, everybody take a look. This is something I have been very excited about for a very long time. And it's for the Oakland Communications Commission to generate revenue and also an opportunity for local businesses or anybody, families, nonprofits, to sponsor programming on our amazing Oakland television channel. I have been very proud of all the work our volunteers have done. It's been great to be involved. I have a background in TV, news, documentary, journalism, so it's something I'm very passionate about, and the brilliant people I work with or volunteers have come up with this sponsorship form. And it's because we want to have the opportunity for individuals and families, nonprofits, and businesses to all have the opportunity to sponsor things. And this is a way for us to bring in revenue to help pay for the control room. You wouldn't believe it's expensive, how expensive these switches and servers and different things we need to do all the great things we do. We're on Roku, streaming, we're on YouTube, we're high definition on Verizon now, we're trying to get 77 on Optimum upgraded, and the cameras have been upgraded, and all these things need maintenance and need replacement, and we have a replacement schedule for a lot of things in town, no different, and this is a way for us to bring revenue in without burdening taxpayers to maintain the amazing control room. Towns look at Oakland, little Oakland, and we have such an amazing program, and Ryan, Jim Barry's our TV chairman, and all the volunteers who are over there. Bill, I'm not sure who's in the room tonight, but anyway, Mark, whoever's there, thank you. And we want to be able to bring in revenue and highlight individuals, nonprofits, and businesses who want some marketing. So this would not be a tax deductible thing because you do receive a benefit for it in marketing. So there is a value to what you're doing, so this is not like a write-off as you would be, say, writing a donation to the town for something else, like the station park, right? This is it's because it's marketing, that's not a deductible thing. So it's a great sponsorship, it's advertising for whoever wants to do it. There's a multiplier here, and the reason is because we felt that individuals and families and nonprofits, it should be a different level than a business. There was a lot of discussion on that. I'd love to have some feedback on it, but I think this is a really clean form. I've gone over it a few times myself. The TV committee's worked very hard on it. This has been a long time coming. I'd love to get some feedback, but I hope whatever, if we make adjustments, it's fine. We're able to move forward on having this sponsorship program, so we're able to generate revenue for our TV programs, our Oakland TV, and the entire broadcast system we have here in town. For instance, we're putting cameras in the senior center now, so when there's events over there, we can record it and advertise. We heard about board buzz and different things. Any resident can submit something and have it aired on TV. We're, in talks with rec, maybe doing some more sports, and there's a lot of opportunity for growing our Oakland TV, and I think a sponsorship program would fit very nicely for this expansion of the programming that we have, such as Oakland history. Last year we did This Week in Oakland, and so on and so forth. So that's my introduction to this, and I'd love to hear feedback from my colleagues.
I want to commend the committee. I mean, this is a very extensive application, and I think it's great. Just like everything else, when you start working on it, you're going to say, oh my goodness, I should have added that, or I should have.
Of course.
So it'll be a working project,
Right.
but compliments to the entire Communications Commission. Anybody wish to say anything?
No, I think it's a great cause. and
Excellent.
grant.
Thank
Wish it-
you.
Hopefully you make a bunch of money, makes everything better for us.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay. Next is A1294.
Well, just before we leave this, do we want to, and Brian, do you think we need some sort of formal resolution, or just based on the council's comments here, we can go ahead and implement this?
Why don't we put it on with the resolution authorizing, so there's no issue?
And the next council meeting.
Next council meeting authorizing the sponsorship as described in the program that was prepared.
Okay.
Okay, all right, very good.
So, A1294.
Yeah, this is just something I wanted to bring to your attention. It was contained in a League of Municipalities advisory a couple weeks ago. There's currently a bill pending. I think it's in committee at this point. It's called A1294, and it would authorize the conversion of office parks and retail centers to mixed-use developments, regardless of local zoning regulations. So while there's nothing inherently wrong with the conversion of underutilized property, of course, the concern that the League expressed and that you should be aware of is that it preempts local zoning in this case, and kind of takes away some of the authority that towns have, all towns, not just Oakland, to kind of control their own land use destiny. And for that reason, it's a bit of a concern. There are already a number of tools that municipalities have to rezone and redevelop, and this just kind of seems to be a solution in search of a problem, it would seem to me. So we wanted to bring that up to make sure you're aware of it, and for discussion, and also to see if you wanted to take a formal position against it, in which case we would craft a resolution for your consideration at the next meeting.
Any discussion? Does everybody understand what this is? No one wants to speak?
I just say this is something I was bringing to Rich's attention. I've been keeping, right, Rich?
Mm-hmm.
I've been keeping my eye on this.
Yep.
It's just more authoritarian behavior from Trenton that's not good for our town, and we should absolutely reject this. This, like you were talking, Mr. Connolly was just saying, like we're a land use governing body. This is what we do. And anytime, like the whole COA decision, all this affordable housing, this nonsense that is pushed down on us by Trenton, it's all wrong. It is unconstitutional, and this is something I hope we, by passing this, would give some extra firepower so it doesn't move forward.
I
down
will
in
be
Trenton.
attending, I'm on the legislative committee through the Prosecutors Association, and they're finally meeting in person after 2 years next Friday, and I will be bringing this up.
Thank you.
Does council wish to, officially go on record with the resolution?
Yes.
Next meeting?
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
No resolution for the draft.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian. The next thing is tree protection ordinance revisions. And everybody look at the tree.
So I could start, and then maybe Steve, you want to jump in?
I was gonna- okay, that's
Or
fine.
you could go ahead and
Yeah,
then,
you jump in, you have more
Okay.
history than me.
so I made a commitment to the Shade Tree Commission when a former councilman left. I stepped up to become the liaison, and I was given a challenge to bring everybody to the table. And it was everyone else at the table that did the hard work. So thank you, Nancy and Ed and Rich and Brian, now Steve that got involved in developing, rewriting, revising. It's been in front of us many times. I'm very comfortable with what we're looking at right here. I'm comfortable voting on this and approving what we have. And I would hope you would all support moving this forward. It's been a long process. I think, Ed, we started, I don't know, maybe probably a little over a year ago with this process. And it's been back and revised, and I've never, other than maybe the ad hoc committee we had marijuana, just such a wonderful group of people willing to meet in the middle and find compromise and make adjustments and clean things up and have the context behind those decisions supported with the logic and the facts. And what we have here is something that I do believe is something I can support.
And you could see all the changes that were made in
A lot of
yellow
changes.
with
So,
red.
I want to piggyback
worked
with that.
hard.
So I came into this at the end as one of my council member days. Ed, yourself, I think we spent, I don't know how many hours already in the first couple of weeks. So I want to thank everyone for their time. Grant, thank you for your help, and Eric, in your input here. I do think this was compromised, and basically with the motto of, let's get this done. It's been too long. We have something that's formidable to use. More importantly to me, it protects when we do development work, which is what we were really worried about, and we have some development projects coming, so we can make sure we keep the natural, as the canopy, I believe is the proper word, right, Ed? Keep the natural canopy of Oakland. So I do think, and Grant, thank you for handing off the support and the handoff, but I'm very comfortable promoting it as is.
I have a couple questions. First, I'd like to say it's an extensive ordinance. I think it covers a lot of areas that were neglected in the past. For almost 40 years, my job was environmental protection, so I can appreciate what Mr. Clark was saying, amongst other things, other benefits that trees give us. However, I would like to, I'd like to be a little bit more specific in one area regarding areas that are exempt. And I think it's in 19-8. I think it's numbered incorrectly, but anyway, when it gets to on existing primary residential lot, the first 36-inch of tree caliper are located within the building footprint of a proposed new building, additions to principal building, driveway, walkway, patio, septic systems, or new accessory structures, including but not limited to pools. I personally, I personally think that septic systems should be exempt. People have to put septics in. I've been on inspections myself where some of the fields, not here in Oakland, are 70 or 80 feet long. I think you're going to find possibility of more than 36 inches in that septic field. Malfunctioning septic system certainly doesn't benefit anybody. It's got to be fixed. And if they have to take down trees, they have to take down trees. That part is a matter of public health and sanitation. So I think that section should say, the footprint of the septic system shall be exempt from any fee or additional trees to be planted. That's one point. The other point I'd like to make, we talk about that people would be required to pay either $250 or $350 for commercial applications, $250 for residential. Mr. Clark said that this tree costs $69. Why are we putting $250 in when people can replace it with a $69 tree? I know maybe we were saying it would have to be a bigger tree or larger tree, and of course, they're going to cost a lot more money. But if they're only $69, why are we charging $250?
Would you mind if we have some of them come up
No,
and
it's a good
answer
idea.
some of
Please
these
do. Yeah.
questions?
Can you comment
Because,
on it?
see, we can't read your minds.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I know you could give me an answer on it.
So the intent is, again, we don't want to infringe on anyone's rights. If you don't want the tree, whether it's a septic or you just hate trees, you have the right to cut them down. And for the reasons that we won't go into again, we know the merits and the facts of whether. So the intent with that is, I just hate trees, I don't want them. Well, that's okay, but the replacement has to go somewhere. So that $69 tree, we have to pay someone to put it in the ground. So that's where that fee comes from. That's the intent. I hate trees, I want them off my property, you can do that. We need to replace them someplace, that's the cost of tree, someone's got to plant it, whether it's our in-house employees or like we've been doing lately is getting bids and subbing the work out.
It's not, if a septic system's malfunctioning and there are trees in the field, it's not, they want to take it down, not because they hate trees.
No, I was using it as an example to say
Okay.
how we've deliberately
Okay.
tailored this
Yeah.
thing to not infringe on people's rights.
Okay.
So, and look, if we could stay on the septic for a minute. So there's an exemption for the septics. If we don't have, so a lot of septic plans, you did it for years, right? A lot of those septic plans for the backyard in Oakland was drawn by an engineer in Tom's River who's never been to Oakland. There's no tree locations on the survey. If we have the ordinance that there is tree protection, even related to septics, then they can position the septic differently, perhaps, and avoid triggering that replacement.
And if they can't?
I understand.
I'm sorry?
And if they can't?
And if they can't, they can't.
I understand.
And one more thing on that, which I should have gotten before. The appeals process for this is the
Okay.
easiest appeals process. There's no of any commissioner. There's no application.
You don't have to come to us.
There's no notice. We took out to go back to the council. There's no application. There's no notice, and it's written in there. You can literally phone it in, send an email. As long as I've been on the Shade Tree Commission, everyone who's came in and appealed the decision, we reached a decision right then and there in that meeting that everybody was okay with. Never once did it get kicked up to another level. So that out is there. Look,
Okay.
I don't want to
Okay.
replace my septic. I got this huge bill. I just can't pay for the 3 trees. I would always say.
The problem that I found in my experience, if you look at Oakland, the lots in Oakland are not 3, 4, and 5 acres. They're 100 by 125 or something like that. So there's really not too much room once you take into account driveway, sidewalk, building, deck, pool. There's not much more room.
Sounds like a sensible hardship and
Yeah.
it's an easy out.
Okay. As long as there's a way to appeal it and the Shade Tree Commission considers it, I understand the 36 inches. It's a total. If there's 3 trees at 12 inches, that would be 36 inches. You could remove them.
That's right.
Having been the liaison, I back that up, having seen it.
Okay. All right, thank you. And the other thing, and again, 19-7, this is just housekeeping. An applicant must first obtain a permit in accordance with the regulations and provisions of this chapter. It says exempted from this. I think it's supposed to be exempted from this chapter. It's just a typo. That's really nothing. I am concerned with the Pinnacle property behind ShopRite. I thought the planning board gave them a permit to cut down trees for farming, to sell the trees. Was the Shade Tree Commission involved with that?
It was before my time, I
Okay,
think.
yeah.
They do have a forest management plan in place up there, and it's permitted and it's regulated. In our ordinance, there is mention that if you have an active forestry management, approved forest management program with the state, you do have to give the shade tree notice when you're starting the logging operations.
Yeah, I wish we would, again, I'm in favor of trees, I really, really am. I wish somebody would keep an eye on that they don't just, clear cut property up there just so they can sell trees, because they're not selling the property.
The forest management plan isn't, for properties like that, it generally isn't set up for clear cutting. So there's plenty of properties around here as far as it's selective. It's fairly noticeable, and it's a managed plan. It isn't like, you won't come home one day and see a square cut out of the mountain canopy. But they are supposed to notify us when they are doing a logging operation.
Yeah, I would hope so, because I think they go unchecked up there. I don't know if anybody's watching them. I just want to make sure they don't clear cut the property.
This is incredible work.
Thanks.
Councilman, so you stated your concerns, everything else is good? Councilman Pignatelli,
I'm sorry?
you're comfortable? So you got all of your questions answered?
I still would like to see an exemption, but I understand
About
that
the septic.
they have an appeals process, and hopefully, if it ever came to be, they would really consider septic systems being a necessity and not a fluke.
Biggest pushover you'll ever meet. Always.
Well, you know what? When you sell a house and you have to replace the septic, it is a necessity.
Yeah, it's a necessity. It just-
And then you deal with it. And then they appeal.
That's all I have to say.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Clark, while I have you for a minute. I think you've come up with a very unique solution. I know you and I have debated this ad nauseum, trying to balance people's personal property rights on what they can do with their property versus government coming in on one side and also protecting the common good of the community with the tree canopy. And I have one question for you, because I'm in agreement with everything. Would you be opposed to changing it from 36 inches of caliper to 48 inches of caliper?
Yes.
Tell me why.
Because we've been through a lot of compromises. And I walked out of here in November. You and I,
Yep.
some of us have watched the meeting from November. Walked out of here, when we got to that, we had this discussion then. We walked out of here with what I thought was an agreement. And then in December we were given a rewrite of the ordinance that took it 25 years backwards. It took us backwards from where it was. So respectfully, I say we had that discussion already, and we had an agreement that we agreed on, and I don't think we should go back on it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? And this is unbelievable, the work.
Thanks.
So then what do we do?
Great job.
It
Great
would
job.
have to be
Thank
listed
you.
for introduction at the
Next meeting.
Thank you for your time and effort. Thank you.
Thank you all, thank you, Steve.
All right, the next one is the Rotary Park sign.
Yeah, so Mayor, you have some correspondence from the Rotary.
Yes.
And with that are some different options and schematics for things that could be done with the sign in that location. I think the Rotary is looking for feedback on how the council would like to proceed. They've indicated that they'll basically do whatever the council wishes. With that, I think that you can just kind of review it and engage in some discussion on the topic.
So in case anybody doesn't remember the original, it is the original bulletin board that they used to, put the letters up. Rotary purchased the sign. So in case you moved here after the fact.
They donated it, right?
Right, yeah, they purchased it. And then it's down and this is it.
I was hoping a proposal would be for a mural, but I guess not.
That was talked about. I brought that up at the Rotary meeting.
Nobody liked it. I just thought a nice painting, maybe of the Van Allen house with George Washington standing outside would have been a nice mural for Oakland, but I guess
Mr. Di
I
Lorenzo.
dreamed too much.
Well, they need suggestions, written suggestions, because it was really done by one person.
Well, what is their primary? I know they showed 3 or 4 different options. What is their primary?
I don't know. I
Suggestion.
think you need somebody from Rotary to come here or somebody to go to the
Good idea.
Rotary Club to. I don't know what I don't know.
Okay.
All right, we can defer this to a future workshop and arrange for somebody from the Rotary to come and have the discussion with you.
Right. But I wanted to bring up. It's funny. You mentioned paving stones.
Yeah.
Rotary Park, around the side,
yes.
has a monument
Yes.
of all deceased Rotarians. They also have the paving stones, and I was there when they first put it in. And it was a big project, but unless it's kept up, I pass it sometimes with the grass in between. So it does get messy. Just thought I'd throw that out. But next item. Ordinance to amend Chapter 17, Civil Service Eligibility, Resident Preference.
I have a
Yeah.
question about that.
Well, I asked our labor attorney how we could get rid of civil service, and he laughed at me.
Yeah, okay. So let me give you the background on this issue. So under civil service, municipalities can establish residence preference for hiring in accordance with statute. So the civil service law contains guidelines for what you have to include with that. And typically they're shown in a ranking of individuals by, let's say, Borough of Oakland and Bergen County, then the state. All right, for police in particular, there's a very prescribed pecking order, okay, in state law. In response to a survey sent out last year by Civil Service, it was determined that our current ordinance does not comply with that statute, which I think was last amended in 2013 or so. Okay. So right now, according to Civil Service, there is no resident preference for Oakland. So in order to establish one, and I would argue that for police that we should do that, for nothing else than operational reasons, because without any sort of resident preference, you get a ranked list statewide, okay? Which means 10,000 people take the test. You'll get a certification based on that. Starting with number 1, the candidate could be in Cape May, okay? And it's a lot to wade through. So it just becomes onerous in terms of the selection process itself, okay? So our recommendation is to adopt an ordinance to put in a resident preference provision for police officer hiring in accordance with the state statute. Okay.
Okay. So all we're doing is adopting the wording from the statute to make sure it can.
Yeah, if you look at the statute, our ordinance mirrors it pretty closely.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. With that would supplement or replace the current language that we have, and I want to clarify that for other positions, right? And so for a lot of the other hiring we do, we're hiring entry-level positions where civil service doesn't generate a list. They're considered non-competitive positions, at least in civil services eyes. And then a lot of the other positions that we are hiring for, or that we do occasionally hire for department heads and the like, are either exempt from civil service or where they are competitive positions within civil service. They're usually for positions that have a rather limited pool of eligible candidates. So you want to kind of cast a wider net to try to attract qualified candidates for those. So we would have one for police. There would be nothing specific resident preference for other civilian positions. Okay, so that's.
So, I mean, this would really just, I mean, we've been following this procedure all along. This is just sort of memorializing it.
It's a cleanup, right? The prior information, I guess, that civil service had on file was that we did have one that complied, because that's how the list would be generated, that's how the certifications would be generated. They asked for copies of what we had on file in the survey last year. When we were looking at it, like, no, it doesn't really comply with the current statute. So it is a bit of housekeeping that way.
All right.
Yes.
But basically, nothing will change with the process in which we select police officers.
No. Now there is a list out now.
Right.
That is technically open statewide. We would go back to them and say, hey, we've passed this ordinance. Can we, change that when we get the rankings, and we'll see what happens with that. But
okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say I think there's a lot of value when it comes to community policing and hiring from within your community instead of outside of a community. They have a vested interest in this town. They live here, and they're going to do what's right. So we did discuss this at the admin committee as well, and we were supportive of making this change to the ordinance to give Oakland residents first crack at the
This is great.
Okay.
I also try to shop locally
Me too.
before going out. I think we should support our own.
Okay, so we'll introduce that. We're going to have a lot of stuff at the next meeting, but we'll introduce that at the next meeting as well.
All right. Any new business? Old business?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was going to come from Pat. Okay, guys.
No, Pat can go too.
No.
If you want.
No.
Okay.
Oh, then it's all yours.
Instead of doing this during my reports, I did want to give an update on Allen and Brooke, and I see a lot of the writers.
Yes.
So you raise your hands. So you're here from Allen and Brooke, just so everybody could see. There's a great group here from Allen and Brooke here tonight, and I toured with Charlie and a number of the other residents. I recognize some of you on Friday with my number one assistant, came with me too. And I toured and walked the brook with the residents, went on a number of resident properties on either side of the brook, and saw firsthand the damage and the devastation that you're all looking at and facing, and I was shocked. And we're working hard for you. And here's a little update. So we're working to secure the funding. I had a call with Anthony Sicko, who works for the Department of Transportation today. I know Anthony from, well, he was a councilman in Garwood many, many years ago when I first met him down in Union County. So we had a very positive conversation. He is sending someone from the DOT to go look at Allerman Brook and the damage, and we're gonna have a follow-up right away. I mean, Anthony responded to me as soon as I reached out. We had a very positive conversation on the phone today. A meeting with FEMA today indicated that they will fund 90% of the cost to do some minor repair work at the toe of the slope at 17 and 19 Sioux to fix some of the material that was washed away in the storm. They're also going to cover 90% of the cost to remove material that is built up below the culvert under Route 202, and hopefully those formal commitments from FEMA will come in June. There is no final cost that is determined yet, but that's only 90%. So one of the things I'm going to ask the governing body, we sent a letter once to the DOT. Even though I'm in process of having these conversations with Anthony, I would still like us to send another letter to the DOT asking them, pending FEMA covering 90% of the cost, that remaining 10%, we can hypothetically say just even numbers, 90% is covered by FEMA, that the DOT would cover that remaining 10%. So there's no burden on Oakland taxpayers for an obvious mistake that was made. Okay, it was an act of nature, but at the same time, this was a mistake. That stone was put there, a storm happened, and probably wasn't the best place to have that much stone and all those rocks. And I think we could all agree on that. We asked FEMA about additional funding to totally replace the wall behind 40 Nokomis. It is...
Which one is that?
It's bowed,
It's your house.
it's Charlie's property. It's bowed like this, completely sunk in. I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
That's what they did before? A couple of years ago?
That was the Irma or...
So,
His is original.
No,
instead of
the
doing a
original.
limited repair, which is the NRCS has authorized, we're gonna see if FEMA will get back on to doing the full repair for that section. So also the funding to fix the erosion occurring upstream near 287. The FEMA rep is going to speak with the FEMA official overseeing all of New Jersey, and some form of agreement with the NJDOT has to be met because the borough doesn't own or control any of that property. So no matter
That's what we were
what,
talking about.
no matter what, we gotta get them. So our engineer, Nick Agnoli, is gonna get additional information about continuing that discussion.
What did he send today? I saw he,
I'm behind on my emails.
oh, my emails went out. I don't know if anybody else lost computer, it's
Very
been
busy
4
day.
o'clock.
I barely made it
I
here.
saw, I'm knowing
barely
that my
made it to
internet
Exempt.
went out.
So FEMA is going to do its part to request its own project, so we don't want to delay determinations on other work items. NRCS is going to provide funding for the construction in the amount of $119,625 to fix the embankment behind 40 Nokomis. But again, with the FEMA, we may end up doing the full project, but they have committed to that so far. They are also going to remove the debris upstream. I saw that where that pipe was. Remember, it was one of the first things I looked at when I was
Which
there.
one, where are you talking about?
I was blown away,
You're talking
right
about-
where the bridge is before Crystal Lake. We will be responsible for a cash match of approximately $40,000, and that's depending on the final project costs. So the required application paperwork is being completed right now by our borough professionals. Thank you for your work on that. And these two projects will be done separately because it's two separate scopes of work.
Wait a minute, when you were referring to upstream. what were
I
you
probably
just
shouldn't have said the word upstream.
No,
Yeah, that
it's
confused me.
actually 50
Downstream.
feet upstream.
I got
and-
confused.
Well, it's, just to clarify, it's 50 feet above and 50 feet below the Lakeshore Drive.
The Lakeshore Drive, yes.
One second.
This work is going to take place in the next 6 months. So that's the update I have for all the residents at
Thanks.
this point.
What was the email from Agnoli? My computer went out as soon as I started reading it, and then it just died. Do you remember what he said?
I didn't see it, I just said I didn't
Oh,
look.
okay.
I mean, I have my email open now, but
All right,
a lot going on at this meeting, right? You're all paying attention.
all right.
I'm doing my best to stay focused. I do have another piece of old business unless, and
Go
then
ahead.
you're gonna, sure,
I don't
if
know
it's
whether I want to comment or
appropriate.
not, but
We'll let you comment. This is important.
38 Nokomis,
Right.
Laura and Chuck Adams, so we live next door to
Right.
Charlie, 40. I don't think, look, I think the concept or the mechanics behind this whole thing, the baskets are all connected, right? So if you, I don't think you can just stop at where our bank meets Charlie's bank, because our baskets, I say ours, at 38 Nokomis, are also compromised now and falling down in, so.
Those are the new ones.
No, it's all
Charlie
the same.
always.
Connected to ours and
But
it's
they're all
pulling
connected, I
ours
think,
down.
all
Yes.
the way upstream.
Upstream.
Upstream, upstream.
Yeah.
So I don't think, so just in what, the rain that's coming now tomorrow, you come take a look, they're gonna drop another 4 or 5 or 6 inches.
I
You know,
drive
and every
by-
night you lay there, you're like, okay, it's a little bit more, it's a little bit more, it's a little bit more. So not taking anything away from Charlie and 40 Nokomis, but I think we have to look at the
It
bigger
extends a little
picture.
further past 40.
And I appreciate your
in other words,
involvement,
Onto our
Grant.
side now, too.
And I do drive by when it rains.
Yeah.
I go that way.
I'm doing everything I can for you. I'm watching out for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys can get a hold of me, anybody get a hold of me anytime. You're sending me pictures, videos, I appreciate that, keep them coming, and I'm gonna keep you all updated on what we're doing every step of the way.
And I just have one last question.
Sure.
Is this the first time, to your knowledge, that the DOT is finally responding to us? Because this isn't the first time they heard from this board and the board, panel.
No.
Again, I had a
No.
relationship with Anthony from many years ago, and he got back to me. I sent him a personal message outside of DOT, and he responded right away, and we had a very candid conversation, and it was a positive one. But, again, I'm an optimistic person, but I'm also a realistic person, so we'll see what comes.
This is not the first time we've been working with them, but this is the first time we have a contact, a personal contact, which always helps in government.
Pays to be good to people, right?
Yeah, always, it always comes back.
So a comment, Judy Paritra, also on Nokomis Avenue, and I think it's great. Your energy and what you've been doing is unbelievable, so thank you very much. And I'm glad, some of the properties are being taken care of, but just to piggyback on what was just said, everything's all connected.
Oh, yeah.
So, April rains are coming, and we usually get a couple good storms in April. And it's just a matter of time of other properties, little by little, just being affected. So it's great you're doing the fixes that you're doing now, but the whole picture really needs to be looked at because
Well, we
it's
have
just
been,
gonna be
as you
all-
know, we've been there regularly.
Yes, absolutely. and I
With everybody
appreciate
working
that.
together,
Mhm.
this is what will get accomplished.
All right, so
We'll
thank
put-
you very much.
Thank you for your contact.
Well, thank you for your patience and for bringing me out there, and we can't do it alone. We all support each other, and we're gonna get it done together, all right?
Excellent.
My other piece of old business is the tennis courts, and the situation with the tennis courts. If our rec commissioner would care to speak as well, but I do have some comments, but I'm gonna give Mike the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. As you remember, I was here 2 weeks ago about the resolution regarding tennis courts, and I saw the email that came from Boswell. So I really thought it was inappropriate for just me starting a whole email, thing going on. So I figured, let me just explain. Let me come down here. Let me explain. I thank my commissioners for coming here, showing support. There was another commissioner who was here before too. That this is really important because as you represent the taxpayers, we represent recreation, and the funds for the tennis courts are coming from recreation monies that were raised either through fees or to whatever. It's recreation monies. Now, the email that received from Boswell basically explained an issue, a discussion that John and I had a week ago, and we said, this is not going to work.
John as in
John
the
Ukemich from
engineer.
Boswell, yeah. It was very nice. He came to my office last week. He came to my office in Ramsey to speak to me about, first time in 16 years someone came to my office in Ramsey to speak to me, but he came to my office to speak to me about about the situation. And I understand the reason for the delay, why it took 2.5 months, was that they were calling the wrong people. Bob and I mentioned Andy Winfield, the Wyckoff rec director, is the right person to call. He did a lot of work. He called DPW and engineers and companies and stuff like that. Didn't even know to call Andy Winfield. So in our discussion, we shared about calling Andy Winfield. He called Andy, and within 24 hours, he did his work, did due diligence, and got back the information, which is what he shared with everybody.
after we discussed it, he and I, on Thursday, said that's obviously not gonna work. So let's move forward on something else. So, then he sent that email to everybody on the council like, a couple days ago, which really surprised me, because we nixed it right away. It's kind of off the table. It's not even something we're even discussing anymore, so I'm not really sure why it was sent out. So I thought to myself, rather than wait 10 weeks for things to happen, let me start doing some work. I called Lorenzo Barada, who I have a great relationship with, the AD over at Indian Hills. They redid their courts. They use a company called LAN as an engineer, Land Engineering Services. I don't think that's been discussed as one of the options to call for a bid. I called some rec directors around who did some work on their tennis courts. I know a councilman in Denville. He told me they're in the process of doing their courts now. They're spending $6,000 on fees. But the reason why the fees are lower like that is because some of the rec people are doing some of the leg work. Like they're calling, they're doing some bid work, they're doing some of that type of leg work, which I did it on Field 8. I have no problem becoming a GC for this project the way I was on Field 8. I mean, seriously, that's our duty. I mean, I understand we're not the hired professionals. Well, we are professional. We are professionals. We're grassroots. We know what's going on in town here. We have no problem taking on some responsibility. I also spoke to the rec director at Wayne. They just redid their courts. Now they're redoing pickleball courts now. They actually are working with they didn't even need, they didn't use engineering services. They called, I don't want to give the names of companies, but with one company, they did 6 courts, and it cost them $70,000 to resurface these courts. Obviously, we're doing pickleball courts too. They're also, now in their pickleball courts, there's a company they're using, I'm not going to mention a name, who is a Bergen County co-op. And this company actually can come in, do all the work. They had the architectural on staff. They thought this was the best plan that they would have done 2 years ago when they did the 6 courts. But they're using them now. And this company, there's a co-op, we don't have to go out to bid for them. We can actually, they do all the aspects, the resurfacing, the acrylic, they sell the poles, the nets, and everything like that. And they thought this was the cheapest route from their research. I also have calls into other rec directors. So there are other ways of doing these things. I didn't want to respond back on that email. I didn't want to get to a whole, I thought it was best, let me address the council and see if this is a process. I don't mind calling these companies. I don't know if Birch wants to call these companies. I don't know, whomever wants to call these companies. But I think we need to look at all aspects on saving the town and the recreation people money. And if we can save substantial money on this, maybe we can. Maybe we call them up, but we should at least try. And if this process isn't done in May, if it's done over the summer or something, that's fine. I'm willing to wait this thing out. But this has to be done, I think, right, obviously, and done with the taxpayer or recreation folks, the monies that they have in mind. That's the research I did.
And a response?
It's a free market approach to save taxpayer dollars and recreation dollars.
Well, actually, the question is, Mr. Cruz, why wouldn't we buy off co-op?
If it's something there that is suitable, there's no reason necessarily that we wouldn't. We had looked at another co-op through the ASCNJ. The way that one was structured, our court complex was too small for them to come out and give us a quote on it.
We just have to watch too, though, because you get what you pay for. I mean, I know as a contractor, I love when people do it themselves, because it usually costs them more money in the end, because I have to come and fix what they did. So that's just, and great, we just have to do our homework. We have
100%. This is what we did on Field 8. We did Field 8 ourselves. We brought in as great people. These kids just won a Super Bowl on Field 8. So it's,
right.
You're 100% right. I don't want garbage put down. I definitely agree with that. But again, we are professionals. We have professionals within us, within our commission. Let's use us instead of just running signups. There's things that we can do. Like when we were talking about with Station Park, I have a lot of experience with this grant writing, and so I'm using my experience to explain. We have people here that do all this kind of work, and I think let's use the volunteers. Again, we're not professions on being paid by the town, the volunteers, but we are professional and we can help in many different ways. Absolutely. And you're 100% right. And you've helped us in the past with electricity, because you're an electrician, you're a professional. So we brought you in.
And just the pickleball and the tennis people are okay with,
oh yeah,
this is going to...
We had a great agreement. We had a great meeting with Rich was there, and we had some other folks were there. And
I think you resolved all the
We
issues
resolved it by putting
between
in
the tennis people and the pickleball players.
yeah, we have 6 courts now. We're going to take 1 court out and make it either 2 pickleball courts, because they're small, or 4 pickleball courts, depending on the bid costs. And the bid comes back for
But I understand that,
Okay.
that part, but time-wise, you know, I mean, like,
There's a delay.
now there's a delay, you know.
It is what it is.
It might not be tomorrow that this is starting, you know, so they're, you know, that's.
It is, we can't do what happened in the past in delaying this process, let's just go forward. And the best thing to go forward is, I think, it'd be better off the town to save $24,000, plus maybe more monies, maybe not, but we don't know unless we enter this.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay.
they would, the team tennis folks have basically let us know they'd rather wait until July than have their season interrupted and have us stop in May and build this, or stop in June or something like that. They'd rather wait till the season's over. So it is what it is. The pickleball, the one guy we hired to run our programs, he's not happy with this. But it
Same
is what
guy?
John, yeah, but it is what it is. You know, it's that's the way it is. We're not putting tape down anymore. We agree we're not gonna put tape down. We tried it, it worked, but it caused some problems. We're just gonna do this. We're gonna put permanent pickleball courts in. The pickleball folks can play pickleball, tennis folks can play tennis, and everybody can play well together
Yes, in the sandbox.
in a sandbox. So I'm looking for direction, however we're gonna handle this. I'd be more than happy to make these phone calls. I'd be more than happy, whatever needs to be done, I'll be willing to.
This will be followed up.
Yeah, I just think you should coordinate
Thank
with Mr. Coons.
100%, but I didn't want to start a whole email thing, especially since the council's been brought into this numerous times already.
So what we're saying then is that we don't need to go to another engineering firm if this
Well,
co-op.
If I can. So Mike, I'll call you tomorrow. We'll talk more about this. I've already arranged for the other engineering firm to come and make a site visit at the courts on Friday
Okay,
in the development of a price quote.
okay,
Okay.
Yeah, Neglia is coming on Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Okay.
Good, and Ramapony and Hill's gonna give you the contact information for land, so we can get, and then plus I can get more engineering companies here, so we do the right, we're all in this together. As we've been saying for the past 2 years, we're all in this
And
together.
as we know from last year, Field 8 was an amazing project. Steve, you were on the rec commission still when that was going on. What a great job that was, and you know, so many residents who businesses and their companies were all involved in that process, and it really turned out beautifully.
100%, so, yeah, we vetted out the professionals, make sure it was done
Yeah.
right. Okay?
That's what it's all about.
Okay. Thank you for giving me an
Working
opportunity.
together.
Thank you.
Is that the end of your old business?
Yes.
Anybody else have old business? If not, we'll go into committee reports. So we'll start with you.
Your update,
Susan.
Grant, just so you know.
What?
It counts as Grant's updates, too.
So you might as well continue speaking.
Okay. Access for All, we're meeting on April 6th. We have guests from Eastern Christian. Just a little update on that. We went to the breakfast, got to hear their presentation about the house that's being built on Yalpo. It's going to be a group home for special needs adults. They are a very inspiring program. They do a lot of good. We sat with the mayor and council from Wyckoff and from Wayne, and they have very good things to say about them as well, and the relationship they have with the community and getting involved with Access for All committees. So we have the board president, who is an Oakland resident, going to attend our next Access for All committee meeting and talk. I'm optimistic that he will join our committee since he's a resident, and you know, I've already put it out there in the email I sent him, and he didn't say no, so that would be a great resource. He's a very professional guy and has a lot of experience being on the board for many years, raising money, and now he gives leadership to their board, so that's good. The Flood Commission, so I'll do the Finance Committee report. The sewer rates updated for 2022, and letters sent to users on 3/15. Residents are going to see a change in their next bill. The LoSAP review is complete. Edition 323 meeting packet was sent, and then the sent to Lincoln for processing. We have a sewer bond anticipation note due on April 1st that we will be rolling over until July 1st. At that time, we are going to move to appropriate changes to the iBank construction loan. So we'll be seeing that coming up. I guess that would be at the next meeting. Next would be OCC. The OCC report, we really need people for our newsletter committee. It's only a committee of 2. If you know anybody who could write, interview, contribute, young people from town, maybe taking some writing classes in school, we really do need more contributors to our newsletter. They do a great job. It would only get better if we had more people involved.
The welcome and website and social media committee is moving process. We're developing a welcome packet. We have a lot of people moving to town, a lot of new residents coming to town, so we thought it was a great idea to create a welcome packet, and we're moving forward on that. I want to thank the mayor for recommending a local realtor from town who agreed to join the committee. We think that'll be additional input. So we're growing that committee, and we're moving forward with that process for, hey, welcome to Oakland, right? That's what we want, to let everybody know the wonderful things we have in this beautiful community. The Oakland TV, I think I mentioned it before, but for maybe anybody from the football, we're on Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, Apple TV. You can download us, local VTV. We're all over the place. You can stream and watch us. It's really an awesome thing. They're doing a great job in creating this history program as well. Bulletin Board Committee wants to know about the events, so if you have events going on or things you're involved with, please submit something to our Bulletin Board Committee. That runs, people really do look at it, and we also take in local music, so anybody who composes original music in town or in one of our bordering towns can send in their music, and we air it in the background as we run our Bulletin Board, which I think is really cool. So next is our my rec report. Baseball, softball, summer, sports camps, golf, and tennis registrations are open. That's oaklandrec.org, oaklandrec.org. So you sign up there for more information, see more information. But really important to remember, you gotta sign up when the registration period if you wanna play. You could go on a waiting list if you're late, and there is a $30 late fee if you don't register in time. The fields and tennis courts are all open, and our next commission meeting will be in person for the first time since February 2020, and it will be in the Danny D building on Monday night, March 28th. Did I miss anything? Access for All, Finance, Rec, OCC, Flood Commission. So the Flood Commission report, the Borough is working with state and federal agencies on the storm damage for Allen and Brooke, which I totally covered comprehensively already. If you have any more information on that, just call or email me, please. We're going to start inspections of daylighted, the non-buried streams, and such in accordance with our CRS program. And the borough just sent a contractor specialty bid spec to the state for approval. Once this is approved, the following council meeting, we will be going out to bid on our river restoration project. So that's coming up pretty soon. We'll see that in the future agenda. Flood Commission meetings are always the second Monday of the month at the Senior Center at 7:30 p.m. Thank you very much, Mayor.
I have two things. I get interns from the college in my law office. They have a lot of programs where they require internships. And I think one of our, Judith, I think you work at Rampo College. So they may have journalism classes or English classes where they require internships. For the newsletter, you said you're looking for people to help write.
We do.
So that might be
idea.
something interesting. And the second, you were talking about someone who, composing music.
Yes.
April Macefield's daughter, who is the singer, who is incredible. She also writes music.
Okay.
So I'll talk to you about that.
Put me in touch.
I will.
Please.
I have their numbers.
Please,
Yes.
that's a great idea. Good suggestion. Thank you.
That it?
Yes.
Covers a lot.
Always is.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I just want to really thank Kevin, Mike, Tom, Ed, and the team working on the programmatically trying to get the corner developed up here at the Station Park property. I mean, it really is going to be the catalyst to really try and fire off our downtown as we start moving forward. As you know, the council did have a study done by our planner to see what can be done to rehabilitate downtown. We are in receipt of that plan right now. We are going to be having just a quick internal meeting on the 28th to go over it with our planner and our attorney, and Mayor, myself, and Pat, just kind of understand a higher level of it before there's a public presentation on that entire report. So it's really important for the downtown area. A couple things as far as public safety. I had a meeting, myself, Grant, and the mayor, on March 16th with the fire department. We were discussing with the fire chief some of his issues or problems, any kinds of support he needs from the council. I'm happy to report that the new truck is currently on the assembly line right now, and we started having a conversation already about how to dispose of the old truck as far as auctioning it off or anything else like that, so we can recoup some money. Okay. Also, we met with the captain of the command staff of the first aid squad. I'm happy to report that, obviously, you know, in this day and age, volunteerism is pretty low when it comes to emergency services, first aid squad, and fire department. I'm happy to report the Oakland First Aid Squad is doing really terrific compared to their surrounding towns, and also they've got about another 3 or 4 members in their early 20s that are going to be joining the squad, which is really going to help during daytime calls. And with that being said, we're always looking for members. If anybody in this room right here wants to join the First Aid Squad and get their EMT certification, it really is a fulfilling volunteer organization to belong to be able to help your community. I got a report from the police chief. It's actually pretty important. I'm going to be giving more monthly information as far as statistics, but I got this from the chief. The police department for the month of February, officers conducted 240 motor vehicle stops, issued 336 motor vehicle summonses. Officers also made arrests for driving while intoxicated. And additionally, the patrol division took a report of a vehicle burglary where an unknown individual entered and unlocked vehicles while it was parked in the driveway. Nothing was reported missing by the homeowner. The incident is currently being investigated by the Detective Bureau. And if you recall, last meeting I made an announcement about locking your cars, and I kind of explained how Franklin Lakes and the surrounding towns have been hit by car burglaries. Unfortunately, we got hit by 2 car burglaries. 2 cars got stolen in Oakland. Both instances, the key fobs were left in the vehicle. These crimes are currently being investigated by the Detective Bureau. Residents are reminded to always remove your key fob from your vehicle and hide and remove your vehicles. Obviously, lock your car, take your keys in the house. I mean, these could have been prevented. And also, I just want to give a quick update on the Patriots Way Bridge. The current funding is up to, right now, the cost to replace the superstructure is $5.66 million. And also, the bridge is safe for vehicle and pedestrian traffic. The next detailed inspection will be on June 22nd, 2022. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add to what you said about locking cars. I went to a mayor's meeting, and the mayor from Saddle River was saying that people, they park their cars in their garage, you know, they have multi-car garages, and they leave the car fob in the car. But there are people now that are able to get, I couldn't believe it, it's like an international remote. So what they're doing is, with this remote, they open up the garage doors, and the car is sitting in the garage with the key fob in the garage, and they just take the car and they pull it out of the garage and steal the car. So the moral to the story is, take your key fob out of the car, no matter where it's parked, inside or out, and take it inside the house. With that,
Mayor,
Councilman.
I have one more thing I just got to
Sure.
say. I attended Congressman Gottheimer's monthly call, and much to my chagrin, there was the omnibus spending bill, and they apparently were throwing out some money around his constituents. I heard that Ridge would receive $2.5 million for their water system to deal with PFAS.
Yes, I just read that today.
Yep. Oakland got nothing.
Yes, I was wondering why Ridgewood
Also,
Water,
you know, and we've been waiting for the congressman also, I mean, with the money for the bridge. That was also, wasn't part of this omnibus spending bill, so once again, Oakland was left, you know, holding the bag again. I'm just really, I've been trying to be diplomatic and polite about this, but I'm really getting tired of going down to Patriots Way Bridge, having pictures taken with a congressman that he puts on his Facebook page and puts everywhere else saying, well, this is all the good stuff we're doing for you, and we get absolutely nothing out of this. That's it, I've said my piece.
except the last we heard today was that we're going to get some help from him from Trenton. Is that correct, Richard?
They will be submitting Patriots Way Bridge along with the other list of priority projects when I guess that there's federal money given to the state as part of the Build Back Better infrastructure bill. That's our next avenue of approach in terms of securing funding for this. What his office told me today was that the community projects category of earmarks, and that included Ridgewood Water's amount there for treatment systems. All of those projects were left in the omnibus budget reconciliation bill. All of the member designated transportation projects, and ours were in that group, were negotiated out during the budget negotiations. So it fell victim to that apparently.
No. We'll keep trying.
So not only do we pay for our
Yes,
water
thank you, Mayor.
system, we're paying for Ridgeway's.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to apologize to the planning board for not making the meeting. Unfortunately, I had scheduled another meeting before I knew I was going to be the planning board liaison. But in reference to the 59-9 appeal process, what I was going to say before I could not speak,
Well, now you can.
before I was silenced.
That's the rules with tabling.
Yeah. Look, just remember, a coin has two sides. So there's two sides of the story, two sides of the coin. One person had said to me, Pat, I think it's a good idea that you do send it to the a court to be decided, because what happens if they have 4 or 5 friends on the council, it's a bad application, and the council agrees with them and lets them do what they want to do. It's better to have an independent arbitrator look at the facts and make a decision. I understand that, but I also understand what the planning board was saying. We have this right. Why give up the right? We are the caretakers of the community, and I agree. I see both sides of the coin. I see what the planning board was saying, and I've been on the council 15 years. It's only happened once, so I don't think it's going to be happening over and over and over again. I would agree with the planning board that, we should keep it, because, we are the caretakers of the town. But, there are always two sides to the coin. There's a plus and a minus, but I think keeping it here would be a good idea.
Point of order, motion to extend meeting, it's 10 o'clock.
Oh, it's 10 o'clock already?
Yeah.
Second.
Oh, my.
Pick a time.
Was it every 15 minutes?
15 minutes.
All right. Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I met with the Board of Health on March the 15th. We had a septic system installer come in to appeal to us to change one of our policies regarding the owner being present on the job when the inspector comes, because the septic installer said, I could have 3 or 4 jobs going on in one day. Which one do I go to satisfy, being there? So we agreed, and we're going to make some changes to our SOP for that. School audits are up at 100% of immunizations. All the children are up to the maximum amount of immunizations that's needed. For the Environmental Commission, remember, April 30th, again, is our town-wide cleanup. Parents with your children that need community service hours, it's a great opportunity, and they would really help beautify our town by volunteering to help clean up, pick up paper and trash and in all the parks in town. Hazardous Waste Disposal Day. I always bring this up every year. I'm very interested in taking hazardous waste out of our environment because the county takes it and disposes of it the way it should be. So the first one is May 14th at Camp Gaw at 9 o'clock. I believe it's 9 to 3. My advice, get there at 8 o'clock because there's a big line once the program opens up that day. So May 14th, July 16th, and September 10th. We also have an opening on the Environmental Commission. Anyone so interested in protecting the environment? They have a lot of good programs. Please, if you have some time and you're interested in protecting the environment, please contact the Environmental Commission. You could fill out a citizen volunteer application at Borough Hall. For senior citizens, their meeting is tomorrow. And that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman?
Oakland Public Events, the Easter egg hunt is April 9th, 10 a.m. Thank you.
That's it? All right. Oh, keep me right inside. April 9th?
April 9th, 10 a.m.
Where?
At the library.
Next.
Thank you, Mayor. Water and sewer updates. Decommissioning of the 3 sanitary sewer treatment plants. A pre-construction meeting was held on March 17th. The contractor is checking the availability of materials to establish a schedule. The contract period is 500 days. The force main on Ramapo Valley Road is earmarked to be constructed first to to facilitate the county's resurfacing of the road. Skyview Highbrook sanitary sewer lining. All work is to be completed within the next few weeks. Yard restoration work is all that remains. Iroquois Pump Station upgrades. The contractor is submitting documents for review and acceptance by Boswell. Materials are being ordered. The materials will take several months for delivery. PFAS compounds treatment at the 3 water production wells. Boswell is scheduled to submit the permit application documents to the NJDEP next week. Water main improvements on Doty Road, Lakeview Terrace, Grandview, and Mountain View Avenues. The work is expected to be substantially complete within the next 1 or 2 weeks. Water distribution system leak detection. As part of the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection's Water Quality Accountability Act, Water Department employees will be out inspecting our borough's entire water distribution system. This work will begin on or about May 1st and continue throughout the remainder of this year. These water department employees will be equipped with listening devices that detect underground water system leaks that in most cases would not be detected. Every fire hydrant, water main line valve, and service line valve within our system will be inspected. Water department employees can be identified by their vehicles with the DPW logo on their doors, and each will carry an ID badge. This work will not disrupt water service, and residents who may have questions can contact the water department directly at 201-337-8103. That's it for water and sewer. Library update. I've been asked to remind everyone that the Library of Things is live and functional. A link to the things can be found on the library's homepage. This month, they will also be adding the following museum passes: the Guggenheim, the Museum of the Moving Image, the Yogi Berra Museum, the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum, the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens, and the Morris Museum. These passes are being added to the existing passes for the Storm King Art Park and Museum of Natural History. Lastly, they're also having a 3D printing class for kids grade 5 through 8 on Thursday, March 31st. Registration is required. They'll also be hosting the Ramapo Valley Chamber Ensemble on the library stage Sunday, April 3rd at 3 p.m. As they perform Schubert's Octet in F major. Again, registration is required. That's it.
Councilman?
I'll make it short and sweet. Tom, thank you for the update. Bush Plaza, you basically took the update. I do want to say thank you to Councilman Talmini for helping us over the weekend getting some pricing before we get done. So thank you for working on the weekend with that. On the shade tree, I'm glad we got the ordinance moved forward. Ed, thank you for all your support. And great for the team getting their accreditation for 2021. And also, just a reminder of the Arbor event they're hosting at the Senior Center. And I want to welcome Dean LaForgia to the committee. And finally, from DPW, street lighting potholes. If you see a street light out or a pothole, please call DPW. Thanks at 201-337-8103. Thanks to everyone who's called over the last month. We have filled 450 potholes. DPW has filled 450 potholes, and they have replaced 13 streetlights with Rockland Electric. Yard waste collection starts April 11th. Just a reminder, so April 11th, you can start using your yard waste. And paper shredding event on May 14th from 9 to 1 over by the library.
Get there early.
Yeah, get there early and limit your materials to 3 file-size boxes. That's it.
Thank you. Motion's open to the public.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3 minutes max because we're getting close. None? Oh, sorry. I was looking that way.
I haven't been here in a while. So I have some questions in regards to the Oakland Communications Commission. So who goes over what is aired? Or I guess, let me back up. Who pays for it? Does it come out of, do they have a budget? Do they, does the money come from the taxpayers? Where does the money come from?
Why don't you ask all your questions?
Okay. Let me get the other one. Okay. So who pays for the Oakland Communications Commission? Are political TV shows allowed to be aired on it? Who reviews what is aired? Are there rules as far as what is allowed to be aired and who is looking at those rules? Is there a way that the public can also see those rules? And, or is it basically just if you can pay whatever sponsorship they're asking for, they'll air whatever you want?
Is that it?
Those are my questions.
Well, since we're short of time, Richard, why don't you just answer?
Okay, I'll take what I can. So where does the money come from? So they do have a budget in the borough's budget. Ostensibly, it's paid for by the amount of franchise fee revenue that we receive from Verizon and Cablevision. In terms of political ads, I'm sure the chairman can kind of cite you chapter and verse from the bylaws. There are extensive rules regarding political programming. Typically, it's around campaign time with the candidate statements and the like.
Is that operable?
Their bylaws, sure, yeah. And there are, rules that govern how they air programs and the submission requirements and the like that I believe is also in their bylaws. I believe what we're
That would
talking.
be blogs as well, right? That would pertain to this, to
I'm
the
sorry?
same thing. That would pertain to blogs as well.
I think for anything that winds up being aired on the site in terms of submissions from the community. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Did that answer everything? Sorry.
Hold on.
I'll add one point. The channel is a public access channel,
Right.
so it's pretty much open to submission for all sorts of material subject to the regulations by the FCC.
Subject to regulations, but as a town-run show, I mean, I understand, you have the right to say what you want, but I understand that sometime within the last year, there was an issue where you wouldn't stream things from churches. People wanted to have the streaming of Mass, and you didn't stream, you made the argument that you wouldn't stream Mass because then you would have to stream the synagogue, and you would have to stream this, and you would have to entertain all of that. So
Little different issue, because the government would have been involved in the streaming process.
I'm sorry, Mr. Van Eck. I'm sorry, Mr. Van Eck. Was there something
We
funny?
air the Catholic Mass in town,
Okay,
airs
I'm
for the
having a-
nursing home residents.
I'm having a conversation here,
All right,
and you're
we're
laughing,
running
and
out. We
I
have
find
4
that to
minutes
be
left.
totally disrespectful.
All right.
What you're
just a
saying
minute.
is,
find it to
what
be-
you're saying
All
is a
right.
complete
I'm
lie.
asking a question. I asked a question. I was not
All right,
stating anything.
let's not have a debate. We have 4 minutes, otherwise we'll extend the time. But ask your question.
I asked my question, and he was answering it, and then Mr. Van Eck was being
No, no,
disrespectful.
speak later.
As it is submitted, if it is submitted by the religious institution,
Right.
it would in all likelihood be aired.
Okay,
3 minutes are up.
so, excuse me, I'm speaking.
Your 3 minutes are up.
No, I don't believe they are. No one from up here has said that. But thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right,
Okay.
listen, everybody should be courteous to one another. Let them
Yes,
speak.
everyone should
If
be
you want to
courteous.
Really, you
speak, then you
should
can
be
come up
too.
here.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
You know what? Courtesy is important. She is speaking right now. When she is finished, you can come up here and speak. He can come up here and speak.
My
Everybody is
children behave better.
allowed to speak. We will extend the time in 3 minutes when we pass the 11:15 mark.
Okay. So I guess basically I just want to ensure that both sides of the story is being aired on our public OCC, paid for by the taxpayers. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
I have a right to
They-
bring that to the attention.
They just redid their bylaws and it.
So is that posted on the website, or do I have to Oprah that?
You wouldn't have to open it.
Okay,
Should be
so
on something.
Yeah.
where can we see that?
I don't know that the bylaws are on the website. Submission requirements probably are. The full bylaws may not be, but we can provide.
How any resident can submit something for Oakland TV for broadcasting, those instructions are on the website, and any Oakland resident can submit something to air on Oakland TV.
Thank you.
Right, but what are the
And-
rules
all
for
right,
approval
all right,
of
all right,
that?
that's
No,
it.
I'm asking what are the rules of approval of that? Because I know anyone can submit it,
All
of
right,
course.
at this point, it's
And
getting
that's on the
late.
website?
Everybody is just speaking out of turn. Excuse me. You'll go on the website, you'll find the rules. If you're not satisfied that all the rules are there, let me know. I will make sure you get the rules. I promise you.
Great.
Anybody else? Oh, we haven't heard from you.
No, I stayed away. Sandra Cora, 162 Page Drive. So I came here originally in support of the Recreation Commission. I fully support what Mike has asked, that we get additional quotes or that we be permitted to do some of the work as well. Just because you don't have to get quotes for professional services doesn't mean you should. I mean, there's absolutely no reason why one professional firm, not picking on Boswell, but just generally why one professional firm should have a monopoly on work. It shouldn't be that way. I think it'll bring down the cost. It's going to create competition. You really should look at it in every project. That's just my opinion. Separately, I'm going to talk about the Green Team. I was liaison of the Green Team. I served on the Green Team. I was liaison to Shade Tree. It's here. I was liaison to Environmental Commission. Now, the three entities, they all have a common goal of environmental protection, conservation, but they do all do different work. So to say that Shade Tree is redundant, that's just simply not true. Shade Tree works, ideally, if it works correctly, it's appointed every year, it accumulates over a 3-year period, it accumulates points. I don't know what they're at, they might be at silver by now. Are they bronze? They are silver? That's phenomenal. So they could always work towards gold. Just because they have the points for silver doesn't mean they're done. I mean, gold is really hard to achieve. Silver is really impressive. So the fact that they're silver is just phenomenal for such a small town, because it's very difficult, the work that they do, and they put in countless hours. So for volunteers like that, to ask for a couple $1,000s to help them do their work, and for you guys to bicker about it the way you did, I mean, for all of us volunteers sitting here watching this, those volunteers in one day paid for the labor of the couple $1,000s that they're asking for. So I really think it's disrespectful to the volunteers, the amount of time, and a lot of you have been volunteers. I mean, you're all volunteers here, sort of. But you've been not volunteers before. I know you understand what I'm talking about. So I really think that you should support this Green Team. I think you should support all of the commissions, committee, boards, and all of our volunteers. They're the backbone of Oakland. They really are. Oakland cannot function without them.
Right.
End of story. So when they ask for support, I think their governing body really should be behind them. So to see that today was really, I was shocked. I really was. I was shocked. And the work that they do, like I could tell you, just when I was on Shade Tree, they saved the town money.
Green Team?
I was a Green Team, sorry, I was liaison on Shade Tree. When I was on the Green Team, they worked to save the town money. They look, I don't know if they're still doing this, but they used to look to improving the buildings to save energy costs. They used to look towards water conservation, to bringing in electric charges for cars. They applied for a grant one year, they put in bike racks to encourage residents to bike around town for a healthier public. I mean, the work they do is invaluable. It's to promote health and to promote environmental protection, promote conservation. You can't even put a price on that. So I think you really should support them.
Thank you. And thank you for your service when you served on the council.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Motion to close?
So moved.
I'm sorry. Every time I face one way, somebody else from the other way.
I just had
You have to give your name and address, I'm sorry.
Todd 182 Manitou. I just wondered, has the Green Team cost the taxpayers any money?
Yes.
We'll get you the numbers.
Okay.
The next meeting, that's why Mr. Kern said he would gather up all the information.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Motion to close.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have to do bills, we have to extend.
Bills to be paid.
Don't we have to extend?
We'll be done in 2 minutes.
All right, 2 minutes,
All right.
quick.
Total bills to be paid, $646,696.50. So moved.
Second.
As long as you read the bills list, you can vote. Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Kuzinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Councilman Anna.
Yes.
Motion to close?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, next meeting is April 13th. Tom?